I joined, by the way. That's why I was late. And for some reason, it's kind of on team though. I was testing the haptic suit, right? And I was like, hold on, this feels kind of weird. Why does this feel kind of weird? But I couldn't like pinpoint why, right? So I was wearing the haptic suit. I was touching myself, you know, and basically, why is there an ad again? What the fuck? Whatever. I was touching and I'm like, wait a second. There was no haptics on the left side. It didn't work. And I'm like, okay, first of all, this is kind of cool. Because it fits the Sony shit. But like, yeah, I did a firmware update and now it works. It works. Mickey, stop touching yourself. I mean, no, you don't tell me what to do before streams, okay? I will touch myself to test stuff. Don't tempt me. Kazad, you got a McDonald's app? I don't want to be vibrated. Join me, I'll give you a hug and okay, so the microphone is on my neck, right? And the suit is like ends right here. And it will make a lot of noise. The background looks weird. What do you mean it looks weird? It's really cool. You don't like it? I'll put you guys there. Put haptic on you. Technically, I can put the suit on my crotch if I want
Put
to.
haptic on your declow.
But then like you would touch my chest and I don't know if that will be kind of, you know what? Heard that before, but I'm still out of work. Oh man, I can't vibrate it then. How dare. Hi Tanya, hi, hello, how you be? Was your week, chat? Today, I did leg day on the gym before coming home. So, I'm trying my best to stay up. But my legs, I look like a penguin. Like, I walk like this today. It's like, hi chat, I'm just gonna move over there. There you go. Oh. I mean, the gray stripes around it. It's the Event Horizon. Right there. And this is the, I don't know, I forgot the name of this thing. Does anyone know the name of this thing? That's the Horizon. That's the black hole. And I forgot what, this has a name, I forgot. The thing. Yeah, the black hole thing. The cum vortex. We'll call it the cum vortex, whatever. We'll just call it the cum vortex at this point. Just leave her. Yeah, just leave your job. Who cares? I'll pay you. I'll pay you to be here. I can remember switch this thing. It shouldn't be white. Yeah, it should be yellow. Yada. Okay, it doesn't matter. It's fine. It's white now. I put something on it before I started. Don't worry about it. Oh, by the chat. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Listen. I have. So you know how the only game I play now. I'm adjusting my sound, so I'm gonna be like really bit close to the camera. Fine. Wanna make more edits of you? Your edit was the first edit I have, and it was where I noticed that I do this a lot. Like the fucking. Have you noticed, chat? Apparently, whenever I'm streaming on VR, I think it's with people around me. I just facepalm a lot. I don't know why. Oh. I have to congrats design of VR. The eyes are amazing. This is actually added. These eyes are not mine actually. I just put two different eyes and changed the colors. I forgot the shader name, but. Oh, anxiety tick. I don't think it's anxiety, but this is not the hair one. It's just I just facepalm like when people say something stupid. Facepalm when subjected to other people. Yeah. Let me. I need to change my microphone gain. Alright, chat. Then we'll give a little update with chat. Otherwise, epic. Thank you so much, man. Wow. So okay, let's restart. Let's restart because of the ads. Say hi. Say hi if you're here. Let's go. We're restarting because I missed everything. I missed all the eyes. Hi, Allight, Coffee, Nether, Yvonne. I'm gonna say over this. Hi, Reg. Highlight again. Domino Unknown, Coffee. Bye. Okay, fuck you. Okay, I can go there right now and just punch you. Speaking about punches, I have a coffee here, so I think I'm gonna drink it before everything goes to shit. Hi, Tonya. How you been? Do it, no balls. Can I bring my microphone? Can I just... Okay, can I say... Hi, Jesco. Hi, Xiao. Can I say how fucking cute you look in VR? If you have face tracking and you're drinking something, or at least me, I do this. It's kind of funny. Go get some coffee before we start bullshitting around, but I think today's gonna mostly be vibing, you know? I have a few things to tell you. One of them was terrifying, but I found out now. Do I look cute in VR? Everyone looks cute in VR. If you don't look cute in VR, it's kind of a skill issue. It's really easy. You can be whatever you want, bro. If you look ugly, then it's like I'm already ugly IRL. I don't want to look ugly in VR. That's kind of like a double shit, you know? Terrified? No, okay, so let me pull my pants up because they're falling. So remember when I punched the coffee cup, right? Oh my god, screen record that. God damn it. So I punched the coffee cup, right? And let me do a little horizontal shift. I'm sorry, I'm still setting up. I like having horizontal shift, so I can be like to the side and you guys are like over there. But yeah, so I punched the actually no, Reg, I punched it the opposite of the PC. I should stop making this movement with my right hand because this is my desk over here. And if I do this, yeah, no bueno. But it fell on the Quest. And today, I put my Quest on, right? No, I got home from the gym and I was like, I need to charge my shit. I put everything charging. And guess what? I grabbed the cable, plugged it in the Quest, nothing. And I'm like, oh no. Took it off, plug it in, nothing. Plug it in the base, nothing. Plug it in the tracker, nothing. And I was like, oh no, this is a very expensive cable, and a very expensive headset, and a very expensive charging base. Everything's fucking expensive in VR, man. I hate it. So I plugged the cable on my phone, and it was like, nope. So I'm like, okay, so it's the cable. We can agree it's the cable, because I put another cable on the Quest and it charged. But I put the Quest on and it was like, we detected some water in your port. Please dry. I'm like, fuck, no. Yeah, it's fine though. It's fine. But it scared the fuck out of me because it's the Quest. I have the index, but I need the face tracking, man. It's so much better. Ugh, stop being cute. No, you stop being cute. Look at you. There we go. You got like a POV inside my face kiss. Quest. Yeah, apparently the Quest can detect if there's a water in your port. I put it in my head and immediately a big overlay says, liquid is detected in your charging port. Please let it dry. The iPhone also does it. Because you could be a little shit. Yeah, I can do the mischievous. And whenever I do shit, I was like, oh, but yeah, that was a scare. Oh, the power brick fried. So where the cable is connected to the power doesn't work anymore. It blew. I don't know. It blew up. I don't know what happened. I think the power brick kind of sacrificed itself to not kill everything. So it just, yeah. Oh, chat, can we have an 07 for the power brick? 07 120 watts power brick. Single port USB-C 120 watts. Hold on, we're gonna do a moment of silence. Wait, no, silence is weird. Let's do an interstellar moment of silence. Yeah, everyone copy Coffee Master's message. This is so stupid. Alright, whatever. So we have a power brick funeral. What if fuck, it's -11 outside. I don't want to go outside. I was gonna say, what if I pick up my camera, I go outside, and we bury the power brick? We do a funeral. No, this is stupid. This is stupid. I'm sorry. I will stop now. I'll be entertaining. Okay, more things. I had something I was gonna tell you that it was kind of important, but like I forgot. Let me re. Hold on. No, don't look at my ass. I'm gonna put my camera like back there. My chair, I mean. What the fuck is the? There we go. What? The fuck? Did I teleport? Where the fuck are you guys? It changed! I was looking that direction. What the fuck? What the fuck? Why are you here? So what the? I'm so confused. And now you blew up. Now you guys blew up. What? Can you stop breaking my shit, please? I don't like this. I don't like this. You guys are being evil. I'm being hacked. It's Jude. Jude is in my PC. Oh, hi Kane. How you be, man? But I'm accepting people if you guys want to join. I'm on orange, but if you have me added, I will just invite you. Okay?
Seek fluid intake.
Got too close. Oh yeah, it was the singularity. It makes sense. Oh no, my play space is shifted. What the fuck? No. Oh, I don't like this. Oh, fuck, man. Why? Okay, let me show you. Let me show you. So this is my... You can't see, but this is my... This is how the wall is, like the limit in VR, right? And this is where I can go. And... Can you stop teleporting behind me? What the fuck is going on? What? Is it the black hole? Oh no, the black hole. What the? Where's my controller? Alright, chat, this is not funny. I don't know what's going. Nothing personal. I'll take my pencil, don't trust me. What is happening? Okay, are we good? Are we good? Okay, let me... I don't fucking... God damn it. Chat, why do you do this to me? Why do you do this to me? I'm here like floating in space, giving you a really good view. I'm like trying to interact, you know, saying hi, and then you guys just like, nah, ass. Do not the singularity. I'm starting to tilt. Am I tilted? I don't like what's going on. Okay, let me see if I can show you again. So this... Alright. This is the VR limit. Right now. The little... Okay, what the fuck is going on? I keep teleporting. Anyway, this is the VR limit, right? And this is where I can go. So there's like a whole area. Like, I'm outside of my play space right now. Yeah, it's like shifted. What the fuck? I need to see a VR doctor. Please, does anyone have a VR doctor license? You know what? I'm running into the black hole, whatever. But we swim, we're in space, right? You swim in space, chat? Oh, it's bending. It's bending. It's bending. It's bending. What is happening? Woo! Let's go. Where are we going? Where are we going? I can't see shit now. There's nothing here. Is this how it feels to be in a black hole? One of those start to malfunction. Oh fuck, don't tell me my base station is fucking dying. No, wait. Green. They're all green at least, I think. Oh, I'm getting dizzy. Oh god, oh whoa. Jesus, I'm too old for this shit. I do have a fear of black holes. Why do you fear black holes? It's not like you can see any of them. Like, what? Okay. What about a black hole that makes you fear it? It's gonna explode and dust your base stations. That's kind of smart, actually. I haven't done that since I moved here. It's been 8 months. So I should I do it now? I have a ladder. What if I clean the base stations in VR? Is that a good idea? I have a ladder. I can put it here and climb it. 8 months, maybe more. How long has it been since we're here? PlayStation do you have? I have a PS5. It's on my living room, actually. I was thinking about buying the PS5 Pro for GTA 6. And by the way, I may stream GTA 6. Who knows? I'm gonna attempt to leave the black hole. Whoa! Fuck, Jesus, I got jump scared by reality.
PLS,
what the
stop
fuck?
talking
Look.
about the fear of black holes, Lamau.
What do you mean the fear of black holes? It's valid. You don't like you're being racist towards black holes, huh? You don't like them? You want white holes? Technically they exist, it's like the other end. You need to fix his console addiction. I don't have a console addiction! What do you mean? I barely play PS whatever. The last time I played PS5 was like... I don't even know actually. Oh, you guys are like up there. Hello.
I don't know. Oh.
Yeah, careful with the black hole. No, you can fly? What the fuck? I'm streaming by the way, so you don't get like pull it out or something.
That's adventure, right?
Okay, I have a favor. I'm gonna put something on, and I want you guys to touch me. Okay? I know it sounds weird, but there's a reason. So, look at me.
You're gonna put something on. You want us to do what?
I want you to touch me.
Oh my god.
No, but like in a non-weird way, you know.
Oh no.
I mean, if you want in a weird way, I can do that too. But like, we can do it in a weird way too. They usually pull it out around me. Yeah, like people like join me and just go like, "Hey, Snow," and there's just like immediate cock. That's how we greet people, you know.
How
I have to find a way to not feel sick. Why are they flying so much today?
I don't know.
How the fuck? Why are you guys flying? How do I do that? I can't.
No. You literally just point your head in the direction you want to go.
I don't like this. Okay.
Yeah.
Wait.
We're just flying.
Okay, quiet. Nobody move. Nobody move. Boobs. Careful. Yeah, the black hole does this to people.
Do you think a haptic dick scarf or something in that way exists?
A what now? Why did you call it a haptic dick scarf? A dick? What the fuck is a dick scarf? You mean like a what? Like a... I don't even know. A what? A dick scarf. What the fuck is a dick scarf? You're concerning me. Okay, hold on. My device is off for some reason. Hold it.
You got haptics.
You know what's the worst part? Like, the on button is behind my back and I'm not flexible enough for this shit. Ugh. Okay, let's do a test. Touch me. Oh, don't flip through me! What the oh, I don't like that. Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, I don't like this world.
We can move. Let me silent fire. I didn't know. Hi.
I'm German. What do you call clothes for your dick, man? I don't know.
What do you call clothes for your dick? There's nothing. We don't call it anything. What do you mean? You're German. Oh yeah, dickscarf. I use that all the time.
What happens when you fly into the black hole?
You go to the void. Wait. Oh my god, it works with feet. This is amazing. Poke me in my tit. A little hat. What are you guys talking about? Pee-pee sock? Okay, you know what, chat? I think he meant a cock ring, like something that vibrates, you know? That's the only thing that makes sense here. Maybe. Okay, let's see. Blah, 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 blah. I want to go to a world that like doesn't make us commit sewer slide by just moving. Okay, how about this? How about this? How about this?
Which is like almost any world.
Okay, so we have a problem. We're in space.
What's your
I
problem?
can't. I can't put like. There's no floor. Like I can't. The portal line just fucks off into the distance.
Yesterday in State of Play there was a Rooster Dark Souls I
how
guess
about
game.
you join a world and then invite us again?
I don't trust you. I can't
don't
even
trust
point at
me.
you. Hold on, stop moving.
How about haptic underwear that works? Do you think it exists?
I tried to punch. It's so sensitive. There you go. Give me a hug. Oh.
Ah, why did you push me?
There you go. Oh, dang. Oh, I felt everything. Ah. Alright, let me. I'm just gonna go. You guys can request off me because this is stupid. Let's.
It is.
I do. Okay, so Stiller. I'm from Germany too. I didn't even know what he meant. It's okay. There's different German flavors. Okay, it's a very weird flavor. Okay, let's go down to the floor. Yeah. The only thing I'm missing today. So you know what I wanted to do? I was gonna get my gloves, so I could be like full degen, you know, haptic suit, gloves, like everything. Oh, this is too much color. I'm gonna turn to this side. Yeah, love ends here and here, like everywhere. Everything's gonna like go around. We're gonna handle the gravity from the black hole. There's no floor in space. You can't do shit. Also, Rylet, you better fucking join today with Kevin, because I told Kevin I'm gonna start printing out missing posters with Kevin's face and like glue them across worlds with like stickers. Because like it's, I don't know how long it's been. Fish, love and sponsor when. Okay, listen. The only reason why I don't have a sus sponsor is because I don't know what to do. I literally have Hello? Would you need something? You stream today? Join! We'll do Audience Anarchy. We can co-stream. We'll do like a pile-up of things. And you've been ending early. No, I've been ending nicely for my time, okay? Just because you're Mr. American, like, weird person, doesn't mean that it's my fault. Alright, do it now. Come on. That was not what I had in mind, but it works.
Snowy probably has a haptic choker as well.
I don't have a haptic choker, okay? I don't know. I don't even know. You have a. Come here. Turn the thingy like on your arm so we can show. It doesn't. You don't need to. I didn't turn it on. Okay, where's my other screen? I gotta do something real quickly. I want to put this at like 200%. Okay. Alright, touch me now. Let's see if I want to see if this gets picked up by the camera, by the microphone. No, in the front.
In the front.
Yeah, no, just like full everywhere, just like bleh. Does it work? It feels super weak. What the fuck? Wait,
Yeah,
hold
you
on, hold on.
think
It's just an excuse. I miss touch, you know. I'm sorry. I don't really have a haptic suit. I'm just fucking with you guys. I just want to like get pet and belly rubs for free.
Metal Gear Solid 4 is going to current console.
Oh yeah. I saw on Steam. They're gonna release the new Metal Gear Solid. I'm sorry, I'm nerding out right now because I'm playing Metal Gear Solid, and Metal Gear Solid 4 is only out on the PS3, nothing else. But not anymore. It's gonna release in August. There's a Steam pack already. We can finally play the 3, and then I'll play the 4. Sorry, was that too much, Kat? Did that scare you?
Wait, English or
Are you
Spanish?
scaring your
I
child?
guess plan today, but I might join tomorrow if I can make
Whoever
it.
moves
Well,
first
tomorrow I
is
have a
late.
thing planned too, so fuck you.
got something in your nose.
Oh, did I? What? Is my VR?
In that cave,
What?
did you feel the hole? Hope you find peace for
Metal Gear, Metal Gear.
New boyfriend ain't gon' fill the void.
My face tracking is gone. What the fuck? What did I do?
Ja, ni är inte spelade.
What? Did I fuck up something? Is for Snake Eater? No? Yes? Don't remember. Okay, hold on. Let me try cat. Maybe it's like an avatar thing. Why do I keep breaking shit, man? Guns of the Patriot, that thing. Snake Eater is 3, right?
Oh yeah, bad joke for the day 3 in advance. Why couldn't the Japolino shoot a because it didn't harp an arrow?
Yeah, it works. Excuse me, you are harassing me. I didn't consent for TT touches. Ah! Ah! Bad. Bad. Ah! What the? Oh. Bad joke for the day, so in advance, okay, I couldn't do the yellow pin to shoot the bow because it didn't have. I will murder you and cut you to pieces right now. I'll try next week. Ah, come on. How long are you gonna have your guest for? Can I join and just like fuck with him and then like go away? I like doing that. Welcome next week. Just remember to wear the haptic suit again. I will immediately forget if it's not today. You only have one shot. This is actually the only day I'm wearing this, like forever. Alright, that's it. I'm throwing it away after this. How you been, by the way?
Thick ass
Now you're very big.
I'm good.
I need a. Fell on my back. What the fuck? I think he went over my shoulders. I just put synth because this place is pissing me off.
See the amount of work I have to do to get on his level.
Wow. Okay. Okay. No. No. I'm a cat. I'm like canonically small. I can be big. Also, you're a fox. You're also one. You're not supposed to be big anyway. You need to be tiny. You're like cat-sized. Hi, Falcon.
Maybe a fennec.
Yeah. So you. Oh god, that was too. Well, like, can you be? Can I hold it like that? Go back to being tiny. Oh, okay. I did this before. Okay. Okay. Climb me through the chest, through the vest. This is the weirdest feeling. I have a tick. I'm going down the back. It's like having like a rat in your clothes, like going up. Ow. Needs more spicy.
Well, what about you? How are you doing?
Huh?
How are you doing?
Fine. I have like to study Norwegian because I have like a test eventually like next month. And like fuck, I don't know anything like stupid A and Ets. I'm like, I don't know where the fuck this goes. There's so many of them.
Du trenger på lære. Hvorfor dere ikke lærer norsk?
Oh, stupid grammar. Apparently they have female and male forms, and I'm like, great. Now I gotta learn the gender of things again. It's annoying. So now I have gender neutral things in English, gender in Portuguese, and now there's gender in Norwegian. Nice. Male, female, male. Yeah, you can skip the females, by the way. They don't care. Norwegian language is very misogynistic. You can just ignore the female and you're fine. You just have male and neutral. We don't need females here. Like, whatever. We don't need just a furry, like the furry fandom. We don't need any females here. Like, nah. I was gonna see a gold thing in your mouth. I wonder if the fish interact with the haptic vest. No, they don't. So they used to. So this suit used to be. I can touch myself though. I can like do this and I will feel it. But like. The suit used to be a mod before, and when it was a mod, it interacted with the meshes actually. So you could like swords and stuff, but now it's just like avatars. You can get steppies though, so that's kind of cool. That's not a steppy. You can do the thing like.
Ah, goodness.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Hey, it works. Go on.
You didn't say stop.
I didn't say stop. Okay. Listen, this was very expensive. I gotta make use of it. Okay. I gotta get stepped on sometimes. The thing I was I can touch myself, then I got sent to an ad. Segway to our ads. Bro, I feel so limited. I can only do this now because my play space ends here because it's like fucking shifted. It's really annoying.
They're
I'm
saying
just
lay
mimicking
down.
you. I'm just mimicking you. Where the fuck am I going to lay down? The floor? Oh no, I don't. If someone, okay, let me show something. Let me show something. I need to take off the camera. If someone lays down and then does that face, that smile, you're like, nah, I don't trust this. Hold on, let me see if I can do this. Let me see if I can do this. This is gonna be a very complex operation, okay? I have a lot of shit on me. I don't even know. Wait, which side? Which side? Which side? I'm just gonna go like this. Okay, hold on. If I break something, you owe me another one. Huh?
What the mere trackers how do?
3 of them. Oh, I think. Oh god. No. Okay. Oh.
Jump!
No. No. I don't like this. Okay. This is not good. Because if you're laying down, you're pressing on the vibration fingers. So when you put it, you feel that. Oh wait, again. Let's do it again. It's kind of cool. Wait,
Okay,
sit.
let's do it again.
I can't feel your ass, sadly. It's just the feet on the side. Very weird. Can I just say that the tracking was amazing there? Oh, I'm sweating. This thing is super... Why is the camera pointing at my ass? Okay, there you go. This thing is really hot. I'm probably gonna take off a few layers. If you're actually gonna stop by... Oh, wait, hold on. Let me see if Riley sent me any porn or something. Oh, that's so late. I can try though. I can try. Sending porn is Kira's job. Let me see if Kira sent me porn. Well, let me do. Oh, okay. Wrong side. Stop touching me. I felt that. Let's play a game. Pushes you. RP push, and then like. Yeet. I
Off the
failed.
bridge.
Let's push it out. Let's play the game. Is it porn or not? From Kira. Do you know this game?
Okay.
Is it porn or not?
What is or isn't porn?
A message that Kira sent. Like the last one. To me. No,
Hold
to
on,
me.
I have
In
to
my
open your
DM.
stream.
No, it's not there. I just have to like this. You gotta decide. Is it
Oh,
porn
I
or
have
not?
to
Like,
guess.
it's like a coin flip, yeah.
It's like a 50-50.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and say that it isn't porn this time.
Let me click. Yep, it is porn. Yep. It's porn of Sakura and
Don't you
Kira.
love it when you have friends that you trust enough to send you prawn?
It's a whip. You know what's the best thing about Kira? I don't know if it's the best or the worst. It's like sometimes he sends me something and I'm like, oh, what is this? And then I click it and it's me. And I'm like, what the fuck? I don't remember agreeing to this, but whatever, sure. Or like he sends me something, it's like, hey, can you check it? Is it good enough? I'm like, what? I don't. What is good enough? When did this happen? Like speaking to Kira, it's like, I feel like I got drunk last night and I don't remember. And he's like, oh, look at this picture of us fucking, and I'm like, what? Whoa, whoa, what? I don't remember any of this shit. Coin flip, Hal. Oh my god, we have a coin flip. Ah, whoa. Some stuff takes like artists take months to start because they have a big QU, and then like it takes a while to get done. So like I just forget about it. It's like been 3 months, and he randomly just go like I'm like at work or something, like just typing, and Kira just like goes in my DMs, and it's like, hey, look at this porn of us. I'm like, whoa. You get lobotomized after always, yeah. Kira is like that man in black, right? He's like, hey, do you want to do this art piece with this pose? I'm like, yeah, okay, we take some reference pictures, and then he's like, oh, I just... Oh, do we have that asset? You know if there's that man in black, like, flashy thingy? That has to be. Oh, I want that.
Oh,
I just go up to people. Yeah, the neural thingy.
Yes.
I want to watch...
I forgot exactly what it's called.
He goes, meow. Every time you do something stupid, I was like, meow.
Lizard.
You're religious now? Ah! Stop. This is very bully. I'm very search for the Kindle asset. It'll be cool if they have the Kindle asset that actually worked, so you can like flip pages. I mean, technically you can have it on your phone or like on your PC and just have the OVR thing. I'm dead. Why are you dead? What have you been doing? You just disappeared, come back and you're dead. Like, what the fuck? How dare you?
Did they at least come back with cigarettes and milk?
I remembered! I remembered! Okay, everyone shut the fuck up. I remember. Nobody say anything or I'll forget. I'll forget. Shut. Shh. Shh.
Forget about what?
Fuck! Oh, you guys need to come closer. Come on. I need to feel like, you know what? Wait, come here. I mean, like, hell yeah, chat. See, this is the benefit of streaming. You guys gotta try this. No, I'm joking. Alright, I remembered something because of Goods actually. So, me and Good. Oh, sorry. I gotta like go sideways because I touched you. wait. Oh, I have an idea. Okay. I'm gonna forget what I was gonna say. Can you guys like come over here, like closer? A little bit closer. Okay, stop. That's cool. No. This is fun, right? I'll be like, hold up. I gotta put your hands like here-ish, because it works with hands only. Don't touch. Just leave me like a space. Alright, let me just squeeze through. I feel like I'm playing the. I feel like I'm playing the surgery game. I'm like, don't touch the sides. Hold on. Oh shit. Okay, forward. God damn it. Wait. I lost. Okay, what was I gonna say again? God damn it. I'm shifting again.
You got sidetracked again.
I had an idea. I can say while like I'm like shifted to the side. This is how I stand now apparently. Fucking there you go. So me and Gooch were playing Arc Raiders, right? And if you don't, I mean, you know what fucking Arc Raider is. There's like a billion people playing this. We were playing Arc Raiders, and there's two things that happen. So the game can be very fucked up, or people just kill you. The game is like the PvP thing with monsters and iron arcs and things. And we're playing Arc Raiders, and we're on Spaceport. It's a map with like a giant thing. No, not that one yet, Goods. The previous one. We were just walking, and there's a thing called the Leaper. It's a giant spider that literally leaps at you. So we were walking, right? That was a Leaper, and then there was. I just look up on top of the building. there's one single dude on top of the building looking at us. And I'm like, we're gonna die. Like, he's gonna snipe us. Like, we're fucked. The guy looks at us and just does the biggest ow ever from the top of the building. He goes like, oh, and then starts shooting the leaper. And then like everyone, like there's like a squad on the top of the building just like owing and killing the leapers. So I was like, you know what? Me and Goods were hiding in the building. So I was like, fuck it, I'm joining them. So I just run out and I was like, oh, and they're like, oh. So there was just like a bunch of people owing in the middle of the map. So we would back. And we just killed like this thing, the giant thing, and then we left. It was really funny. It's like it was literally like, because when you play that game, you're always scared. Like you don't trust anyone. Those guys, I'm like, I trust them, 100%. This is the technique. You just in voice chat, and then start shooting. Rare to see friendlies. No, okay. So there's a second one. There's a second round that we played. So how did it start actually? By the way, there's a way of getting friendly matches. Just don't kill anyone. Like literally, don't shoot anyone. If someone kills you, don't do anything. Just die or run away. After like you do that a few times, the game matches you with friendly people. It's really cool. So the second round we played, how did it start? We were just walking. And then we went into a room and there was like two guys like, you know when you do the thing where you turn the corner like, oh. So for a moment they're like, are you friendly? Like, are we gonna kill each other? And I'm like, no, I'm good, I'm just looting. So we just left. And then we met another dude. Good, help me out here, remember, because we were... Yeah, so there was a spider again outside, and there was a dude, and it was like, do you want some loot? I'm full. And I'm like, no, I don't know. And then the spider just goes like, boom, and like lands where we are. So I look at the dude, and he's like, I guess we can kill this thing, and she starts shooting the thing. So there's this dude with it's me, the dude, and Goods. We're not even a trio. And the problem is like we're trying to kill the thing, but you need to be careful because if you shoot, if he's in front of you and you shoot him, he'll die. So you're just killing the thing, like yeah, fuck you, and then it explodes, I die, and then at the end, like the thing, we kill the thing, right? We all run out of ammo. We start like punching the thing with the hammer. I don't know what happened, it ran away and exploded. I killed itself, I don't know what happened. I think it just jumped into like a rock or something. So, we kill it. Nobody loots it, and I was like, I'll take it. And they're like, yeah, it's fine. So, we go to the exit, the elevator to leave. There's two guys there, two other dudes on the elevator, right? So, me and Goods and this third guy, actually... Yeah, me and Goods went to the elevator to leave. The third guy was like, "Oh, goodbye," and he just fucks off. I don't know where, like, I don't know what the fuck he went to do. He just left. So there's two new dudes on the elevator. We run to the elevator, and they just stare at us like, and I said, I just want to leave. It's fine. So I do the leaving thing. The door starts closing, and there's two other dudes fucking running. Goods starts screaming to stop, but like it was too late. So the door slowly like closes. And then I'm like, no, I'm sorry. And the dude's like, they like running and they jump and it just like, they're like, oh, no. And it just poof, closes on them. It feels so bad. So that, like, there was like 7, like, or 8 people just fucking around on that place. I love these lobbies. It's so fun. It's really rare though, because you need to gain their trust. But the problem is like, when you're fighting something, you're like in front of them. And then like when you reload, you go back and they go in front. So it's really weird, like you're trusting them and then you're fighting and they're behind you. So if they want to, they can just like kill you instantly. So it's like, please don't kill me, please don't kill me, please don't kill me. Kitmayo, know you. It was funny, but that AU dude was the best. You're gonna VA? Yeah, come. I'm getting really hot. Oh, who would have known that having like a battery strapped to you with like a vibrating chest thingy would be kinda hot. Listen, being petted by foxes in VR while streaming, I don't mind.
I do have to go. It was good to see you.
I need to join you more often so I can practice some things. even though you're not Norwegian, but but I need to. I need to meet more Norwegians so I can start
Ja, du
practicing.
trenger å lære meg det norske.
I'm like on the shitty grammar part now. Like I think the test is gonna be like verbs and the reflective whatever the fuck, and I'm like, yeah. Yeah,
I won't be
something
able to help you
side.
too much there. But I can try.
Yeah, because I'm not just speaking. I'm doing the actual course, so I need to like learn the proper things. Finally, good stream.
I'll need
Yeah, I
to pick
imagine.
Duolingo back up.
One question. It's gonna sound. It's gonna make sense after stream. Now it's gonna sound worse. What year were you born in? I just want to know above 2000 or below 2000. That's it.
Below 2000.
Okay, so fuck. You don't work. You don't work either.
What do you mean
God
I don't
damn it.
work?
I have an
do you
idea.
mean I don't
You're
work?
broken. Like it's just like I need a new model. I'm sorry. I'm joking. No, I have an idea for a thing. Like, I've been doing this thing where I hear a song and it makes me feel things, and I for some reason I just have an idea popped up, and I need people who are born after 2000s. So good. I don't know anyone else actually. Man, I feel old now. What the fuck? Yeah, you go. I don't want to like hold you back here and kidnap you or whatever.
I'm still like what is the
It's not that. It's not bad. It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It's funny. I think it's funny. I need like 3 people to just say something, and then I need love juice.
I can get people. I know some people.
Yeah, but like, I don't want you to go like horde 2000 and up people for me. It sounds very fucked up. I don't want to like be in the Epstein files or something.
No, these are people who are adults. I know.
Listen,
people that were born
2008 and up,
after
or I'm
2000.
not. Okay,
2008?
I'm joking. No, like I have an idea for this video. It's really funny. I think.
I guess if you'd like me to help you find people, just send it to me on
I think I
Discord,
can.
and
I want to find some I know, because it's like, oh look, it's this thing. Domino, you can probably do it, but you're like, if you want to speak on a video, let me know. I just need
No, I am a 90s baby.
literally 90s baby, same. You know people though. I don't know anyone, man. How old are you, Kuro? You're like my age or something, like really close, so it's whatever. Fucking
Wait, are
boomer.
you doing like a millennial quiz or something?
No, it's that meme where it's like, what year were you born? It's like, oh, 2005, 2004, and then like at the end it's me, and someone's gonna be like, oh, what year? I'm like, oh, 90, and then it goes like, is a.
Welcome to Jurassic
No, but it's not. It's a variation of that. I think it's funnier. It involves taking pictures on
Okay.
specific. I think it's gonna be good. I think. I don't know. You're turning
I bet it'll
29
be
in
good.
about 3 weeks. Oh boy.
Hey,
Bye. We can be like, ha ha, bye. 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 The funny thing about the Norwegian goodbye, it sounds the same as Portuguese. It's really funny. It's like really easy to remember. I thought they were gonna just know his age. Nah, he's like half a boomer. Okay. Wait, so we're gonna be the same age for like a month? I was thinking we were supposed to record. Yeah, we need that one and then this one. The hyena one may be easier, actually. We'll see. I'm also 2000s. I need people from 2000 and up, and they're like full body, just because it looks better on the video. But we'll see. I think I can find some. It'd be fun if they were creators, because like super just weird cameos. We can do both since I own you. Yeah, so you work for one of them. I work for one of them. We need me, you, Love Juice, and then 2 more people. Domino. I don't know. We gotta see. Oh, I'm out then. I mean, we can fake it. It doesn't mean to be real, you know? You can say like 1000 and fucking whatever. People won't know. It's just if it goes semi-viral, then you're gonna be known at that age, so I'm sorry. I'm gonna be busy basically a solid month in 2 weeks, so if you need meat for something, it has to be before then. Alright, right now, come on, let's go. Let's go. Hurry up. Kura, you wanna come in VR and touch me? Look. Wait, let me. Okay. Let's show him the thing on the floor. Kura, look what I have. Look what I have. Okay. I gotta show you the thing. You weren't here. I don't think you were here actually. Hold on. Where the fuck am I? Oh, my menus. Wait. Wait. Do it. Can't go up. You gotta go a bit down now. This shit is fucking tickles, bro. This is like a free massage. I gotta go to a bar with like a massage bed thing. Like lay down or something. That'll be so cool. Why feet? It works with feet, I know, right? Gently pet the kitty. That feels. Oh, you're on the side. I'm sweating. I'm not showing you my butt. Stop being a degen. Is this the king stuff? Where is it happening? Okay. Like, let me see. Let's see if he gets it. Dude, like. I'm gonna close my eyes. I'm not showing my butt. Scary. I have like a vibration suit thingy on, and I'm getting really fucking hot. Can I boop the fox? Remind me not to go through you. Ugh. Take it off? No, it's not fun if you take it off. There you go. Do you have the heater on? No, it's a haptic suit with like a battery and like vibration thingies. It's really hot. And I have like pants on, so extra hot. The heater is off, I think. Come on, Kurek, you don't want to touch me. It's the only chance. Then it's gonna be like goodbye. I'm gonna end stream and like goodbye forever. Goodbye forever. Oh yeah, fuck, wait, hold on, I'm forgetting something. Come here. Don't touch me. Skill issue. How dare you? Put some ice packs. Come over here. Down. Chat, it's their birthday. By the way. There, get some cake. Go get some cake, come on. You can't show up in your birthday and we don't have cake, like what the fuck? Yeah, you can have some of mine, yeah, there you go. It's like raspberry now. I don't know if you like that. Yeah, imagine being old and shit. Cringe. You know, it was the first thing I heard today. It was like, oh, it's my birthday. I fell on the stairs. I'm like, what the fuck? What? Okay, well, okay. That's a really nice gift. Man, I wish I had that for my birthday, but I don't have any stairs. I gotta buy some. Oh, I don't know if Goods is going into VR or okay, you're still going into VR. I'm like waiting here. It's surprising, like, oh, okay, what time is it? 9 p.m. I keep complaining about this, but like 9 p.m. on a Friday and there's like 20 people online. It's crazy. Imagine having a life. Couldn't be me. You have the entrance stairs. It's like one stair. I don't. Does falling off one stair classify as falling down the stairs? It's like one stair, the stair. Does that count? I think it's just tripping. You can still. Yeah, but if you fall from one stair, you just flop. Like it's not. It doesn't really count. There you go. Bright. Just go up the neighbor stairs. Oh yeah, we have this. We can fall up the stairs actually, but it's like we need to go up the neighbor and then like fall down the stairs. So they're like, what the fuck are they doing? is screaming about feet at midnight and like falling downstairs. Meh. Oh my god, Kier sent me non-porn. So proud. Oh. Just a birthday transition. Yeah, don't worry about it. Just a birthday transition. I draw something on my back and I'll try finding out what it is. Did you make a penis? You could have done anything. At first I thought it was a heart, but then just like at the end, I lost it. Ah, you're doing like this and then like on. Wait again. That's not very accurate. It's very. I don't know, I'm lost. Where is it? Oh, it's my. Oh, yeah! Oh, man. It's how. Because it did this and then it went down, so it looked like a heart with a thing. Boom, hi, Ivan! I want to buy alcohol for my birthday. We gotta buy it on a weekday. Because they close it. Like, I forgot, they close it very, very early at the weekend. And I think on Sunday you can't even buy it. Wawa! It's a Wawa. It's Daddy Wawa, chat. It's good for family, let's take it off. I don't know, this suit's a bit dark, it gets too warm. No, this one's fine, it's just like actual layers on top of me. I never had an issue, I've worn this for hours. Hello, it's very blue.
Is this when the catnip hits? Then this is what you see.
Yeah, I'm high right now. I'm projecting what I can see.
I'm not even surprised.
I'm not. Jams the TNA or some comment. Yeah, send me.
He's
Daddy
high,
Wawa,
so
look at Daddy
high.
Wawa. Mommy Wawa. Kinda. Where you
Oh.
be? Whoa, where I fell.
Just push him.
Wait, do that again. Ah!
No. Haptics.
Man, I wish I had like a butt.
It sounds like a different toy that
haptics.
makes these sounds. Anyway.
What?
Blue got it.
Oh yeah, do it here,
I
look,
mean,
look.
we know.
You're
Not
like,
an instant, yeah.
The worst part is when someone goes like this and he goes through. You feel like a weird thing. He goes like, blah, dead.
Don't do it.
I'm gonna put the heart ass up there, like a, and then ow.
Seek fluid intake.
Ooh. Does fluid intake work with coffees? You're sitting on my coffee cup. It's actually right up your ass.
Ah, the good brown stuff. Gotcha.
Yeah, and it's not that sweet though. You gotta put some sugar on. Oh, is that moving?
No.
I'm gonna put it back.
Ah,
There you go.
something better than coffee.
Wow, you have gamer subs? No, that was a fizzy thing.
No.
Pepsi, Coca-Cola,
No.
beer, something.
Monster.
Monster. Oh,
Monster.
is it the white monster?
At this time of day is probably not the best choice, but I don't care.
Can you show me a pic of your white monster?
It's not white. It's Pacific Punch. Excuse me. And the
Okay,
Ken
I'm
fucks
sorry.
me over. Okay, Ken did not fuck me
Let me
over.
see the
this time.
Kuru thing. Oh god damn,
that
that
monster?
that looks like something. I don't know. I can't describe that. It's really fucking good. Will kill for I'm kind of the avatar. What is that actually like? Like a Nardo? Is the no wait, oh no, it's a Nova. That is fucking good. Oh, the last picture. Holy shit. Is it yours? Are you gonna use it or like Nova with scales? I love the scales, man. I need more Sphinx with scales on my. Oh, you know what I think I should do? This Mayu. So this Mayu is like an emo thing.
I'm in you.
Fuck, I was like, who the fuck are you? And I'm like, oh, okay.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Oh fuck, help, protect me. There's an evil pink thing looking at me. Scary. It's not mine.
Vibrates himself.
So it's a commission for someone else? God damn, they're gonna have like an amazing avatar. Holy shit. I wanna get like, my guy's all changing. I don't like this.
Don't worry about it. You, get when you
He looks so weird with
yeah,
this,
okay.
I'm sorry. Like,
we
it
go
doesn't
into
work.
something less sus. I know how it is.
Yeah, it has to be like, that's not, how is that less sus? Okay, there you go. Oh yeah, let me go in something
Fine.
less sus.
Yeah, it's totally less sus. I don't know what you mean.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, Snow. You know. You know the way. My eyes are up here, by the way.
Oh my god, is it D? I'm sorry, I didn't hear
Hero
you.
Corgi.
Over the... Oh my god, is it D, Corgi? Whoa!
At this point, I have too
I can
much
6,
avatars
7
because I have them
your-
all for photos. I hate it.
What is that?
Okay.
Oh, avatar, it's insane. This one? It's like a Nova email thing.
Which one? Oh, the blue
other
one is
one.
the KFN.
Yeah.
The pink one is the Fluffkin, which just released, like 10
I'm
minutes.
gonna get
ago.
one of those.
Or let's say
Like it
no.
very much. Oh, well, Listen,
There's
and
a
if you
not
can't
a
touch me, that
fulfillment,
avatar is gonna
so
feel
okay.
weird. You gotta switch back. Illegal. I don't want to consent to any of
you
this.
touch mud. Oh yeah, you touch me harder.
No!
Oh, anyway. Oh, sorry. Oh, so anyway,
Ah!
what I was saying.
Stop running to me! I have
I still need
phantoms!
pads for my haptic vest again. Yeah.
Oh. I just
I have,
charged
like,
it
the
randomly.
skin, but this uses shocks instead
Oh
of.
yeah, we were talking about it actually. Like this is the vibration one.
No.
It's
I
the
actually probably want to
original-
swap to this because it's 10 times easier to just put on and use. It's like the other one is like skin tight clothing, so it's like almost like.
I really like this one actually though. The adding it to the avatar is a little bit annoying. Cause you
No.
gotta put like the thing and whatever. But I added them.
True.
I added them like. I added them to the Viwi and to this one. The
Lovely.
Viwi is a little bit. I don't know if it's aligned properly, cause like
don't talk about
if you
the
touch
anime.
me, it was. Put that back, right now. Okay, I think I ate it. Can you bring it from like the. Ah!
Oh, you have a remote control for that. What the? What are your ERP
Put it back.
sessions are you two doing?
Come
Ah,
on. Put it back.
I see.
Wait, is it working?
Is it working for who?
No,
For-
go,
for
give me
this
that.
one?
Give me that. No, no. Come on. Come on. No. You touched me. Now you have to give
Is
me
it
that.
working?
No. Give me. What is it? Hold on. Say ah.
Oh god.
Find it. Just fucking. I wish I had an elbow tracker to do this. Just fucking shove it. Actually, I may have. Hold on.
Just vibrate like
Okay,
a
can
menace.
you like?
Oh.
Oh, okay. There you go. They died. I think I have some spare trackers. Give me like 5 seconds. Oh, I'm vibrating. It was on me. Okay. The hair was I making fun of me? Oh, heating up. Where is my other trackers? Wait, do I not have any other trackers? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh fuck! It's on the gloves. The gloves have the trackers.
Oh, there.
Forgot about
I
that.
have a tracker.
The VR gloves have the trackers. Because I have 1, 2, 3, 4 on my head, 5, 6. Where's the 7? That's the 7th one. I'm missing a tracker. Ah, it could be like on my desk or something. Come here, chat. You left me. Because I'm seeing Wawa and I am able to redeem the big tail, redeem them. Wawa, how does it feel to like be in a world and you don't have to have redeems? You can just exist and chat can't use you. I wish.
That was fun.
It's super fun,
I'm
right?
surprised I'm that known for some reason.
Yeah, you're Daddy Wawa. Everyone knows you.
I'm,
What do you mean?
I'm just a guy.
I'm just a guy too. Just a little dude. Did you do what I think you did?
I mean, I just think, technically, Crazy, if you redeem it on my channel, it should still work, because I have StreamerBot open.
Does it work? Does it work? Oh yeah, because if you redeem it on your channel, it should actually work. If you go to Wawa's channel and do a redeem, you can fuck
Should
with Wawa
technically
here.
work. No. Because I will live set in like 45 minutes.
Oh.
But
Are
it's
you gonna stream today?
private, it's off stream. No.
Ah, you gonna do a little Huawei event without me? How dare you?
No, it's a birthday event. But not for
that
this one. I mean,
Not for that one? Wow! Wow! Did you hear this
first
shit?
up, I didn't even know that this
No,
one
no,
has
no, no,
birthday,
no, go
except
away.
suddenly
Go-
at like
shit.
1 a.m. in the morning.
I found out today too. I technically before, but I forgot. Snowy the VOR one? What do you mean? I don't like VOR. That clip I put of the VOR world proves it. Because I wasn't enjoying it. I was just fucking with people.
And I'm not rude, I'm just saying the truth. I mean, I
How
would
does
make
it-
a birthday party for Blue, that's not a problem.
Oh, this is so cool! Wait, 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 wait. Look, chat. Look at this. Look at this. I have a controller, right?
Oh. Pie choc.
Can I increase it or something?
Just press random button, just waiting until Blue's on the floor.
I'm pressing random shit. I don't know what's going on. Hold on. My fingers are too big for this. Oh,
I feel awkward. Just going in circles, try to look.
what?
15% for 10 seconds. Well,
Just the buttons.
I mean, Blue, come
It's
on, you
fun.
did this to yourself.
Wait. Oh. Wait, where is it? Where is it? Hold on. Recently used maybe? Oh, man. Oh, it's probably gone by now. I don't know if I favored it or not. It's an avatar I found. No. Oh, no. Yeah. I think it's this one? Oh, bye. Wait, is it this one? Is it this one? So much shit. Oh, no. Okay, I see.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, God.
Be gone. The power of Christ compels you. Sorry, Chad, I'm cleansing this, okay?
It's a furry, you can't cleanse it. Rule number 1. You can really cleanse a chat, that is probably a thing.
I can do this! It will work. Oh my god, LJ, can you fucking join for once? Hey, LJ. I think, well, that thing is, I think it's broken.
No, it worked. Multiple times.
I think it's
Not work
broken.
again.
No, where's the thing, man? I want interactions. No, I don't think it's his avatar. I'm sad. I think I favored it, but I didn't.
My
I
name
thought
is
I did.
Matt Wurst.
Elsa smelling good. How dare you? You should start coming here before you smell good, not after. I watched you do. Whoa, what is happening?
Don't worry about it.
Your thing is stuck again. It's just like your thing is like. Yeah. Oh, the John Hamm. LJ, look! I can see, I can hear shit. Hold on. LJ, look! I found the button. I don't know what the button does, but it's kind of fun to press. I think I broke it again. Oh, you're so shiny. Why are you so shiny?
But I can.
Because you can. Why are you so shiny?
But I can.
Why are you so shiny? Oh, you know what I did yesterday? It
Because I'm
was really
sick.
funny.
I'm sucker for shiny.
Yesterday, I was in bed, bored, on the couch. I called like random people. I called Violet, like on Discord. I think he was driving. Like I when I'm bored, I do this. I called Violet and I was like, he answered them like, "What's up? What do you want?" I was like, "What do you mean? Like, what do you want?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm driving." Okay, you know what? Call me back when you remember what you were gonna say. And then I just hanged up. And then I went to bed. And he DM'd me in the next day like, what the fuck? This is fucking. I love doing this.
I mean,
Meow, 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 meow. You love fucking with friends. It's so funny. Gulp. LJ, when are you
Am I
joining?
from
Oh no, actually, LJ, no. Actually, I need you after stream. Okay, I need you. You do a few voice lines. Okay, I need you for content. I'm gonna use you. Is that okay? He's probably fucked off by now. He's like, yeah, whatever. I have done what I had to do. Hello.
almost died.
Allah.
Allah.
Bagagwa. The cult of Bagagwa. Oh, it's the new hyena. Wait, hold on. We gotta show this. Come on, do something. Do poses. Do things. Do things. Do things for chat.
I don't know.
Dude, come on. You gotta look
I
dumb. You're a
know.
hyena.
Ah,
Come on.
what? I'm confused. Ah,
Do a six.
ow. Oh, there we go.
Wait, we can match. We can match. I just gotta adjust here.
1 on 10.
Look at that! Come here. Wait. Wrong side.
It's fine.
Look, camera's right there.
You happy now?
Look, they're right there.
It's-
Look. Say hi.
I see you.
They're right over there.
Hi. What the fuck?
Look. Can I show you something?
What?
Give them like the little button. That's fun to press.
What?
It's a button.
Presses all the buttons.
Wait, I need to maybe. Wait, hold on. I don't see it. It's gone.
Wait, you don't.
No,
broke
It's
it?
gone.
Try show. You break the button. What the fuck? Try showing
There
Gavin and then
go,
like putting back again
puppies.
maybe.
Or downies and it's gone.
It's gone. I don't see it.
Oh my god, you broke the
At least I
button.
don't press random.
I did.
Good lord, I never got a pile shock.
You see the button?
I never will be.
Okay, now I see it.
Click the button.
This. What am I doing? I don't know.
Click
Shocking.
the button.
I'm pressing.
Shock therapy. That's probably a cool
Pressing
one.
everything.
Oh. Doesn't actually tell it all.
I think it's like, I don't know what I'm doing.
So this is.
I don't know what I'm
Okay.
doing. I'm just gonna put out the intensity.
No,
Come
this
on.
is
You-
first time
Good, you're killing them.
This is now 10 seconds.
You can show
So
me a
this
button. I will
is-
press
wait.
it.
Do you know what you're doing?
Hang on, this is the
actually?
10 seconds.
No, I am
The
not.
buttons are very. No, wait. Fuck. I'm too fast.
I see it,
No,
but like,
this does-
it's just buttons.
Oh my god,
This doesn't do anything. This is intensity.
just
So
buttons.
if we just push this up
Max.
to this and then press the button.
I think this is.
What the f? Jesus, you're gonna
Yes.
kill.
Okay.
What the fuck? Bro, when I had that thing, we remember when I used mine for the Olafilus thingy? I didn't go like
Oh,
above
yeah.
20 or something. It was like too much.
Oh,
I gotta
God.
buy another one because your dog
Birthday?
fucking
Tracking.
forward mine.
Your birthday, Maiden?
He moves
Today?
everything.
Oh, happy
I don't know what happened. I went back home to Portugal, came back, forgot the thing here, I think, and then like it was fucked.
First thing I do.
The dog ate the box. I don't know what happened. It's okay. We can buy a new one because the new one is like USB-C or something.
Get a little birthday gift.
Brr. Can I worry you?
The question is.
Is it
what?
a shock gift?
No.
You know what you should do when you click the button?
Hot ERP
You add
sessions.
the oh dang it, oh dang it, or make like a
Let's go
gamble
gambling.
machine, and if you get all the three things, it works.
Oh.
Let's go gambling. Let's go gambling. LJ wash my hair. LJ wash my hair. I need to wash my hair.
Finish the half piece.
I need to wash my hair. I'm actually stinky. I came from the gym. I started like streaming and testing stuff. I didn't shower yet. It's not good.
From the fluff
I
can
stink
literally
like
snort. It's
balls.
Like, oh god. It's like I crunched the whole week for assets, and I'm like, I'm done. I was like, am I done? Mm.
You're never
And
done.
then Hank was like, we need a bikini. I guess I do tomorrow a bikini.
You're never done. There's always something else.
Yeah, I mean, welcome to the person that closes the furries.
You know, like the shampoo. How dare you? What shampoo do we have actually? We need to buy that shampoo we saw on the ads. There's a shampoo on the ads somewhere. It's like a.
My
It's in
mirror
the
almost
pharmacy.
killed me. What the fuck?
I'm gonna yoga ball. Ugh. I'm getting too hot for this shit. The coconut one you got. Is it that bad? Usually it's good. Ugh. Why is like everyone so far away from me? I feel like you like I like the way I stink in VR. It is like fast.
Yeah.
Is it pass through to VR? Like ugh.
Welcome to Smell.
Yeah, if I had an avatar with a gas mask, I
Oh fuck. Oh god.
Okay.
No, that was bad. Yeah.
yeah, COVID,
Ugh.
online
COVID
COVID.
doesn't make you sneeze.
Online
Almost
COVID.
didn't. Thank you, Knight. Online COVID. I have phantom COVID.
Offline COVID where yesterday.
Meow 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 meow. Meow meow. Oh. I need to take this thing off in like 2 seconds.
2, 1, 2. Okay, bye.
2, 1, 2, 1.
6, 7.
Bad Kira. Bad Kira. 6, 7.
I hate
You
that
if you
meme.
lose was recorded. I'm not allowed to have that in my stream anymore. Okay?
Yeah.
Why you put wait, hello? Hi? Do you
I'm
is
just gonna
this,
sit here now.
do you need it?
I know,
Okay.
I know what you're talking about. I'm just
I
sitting
know.
here, man.
You know my head was
You're
there
like
before
a
you.
footrest.
I look like a footrest. Okay. Is this what I've been reduced to?
Yeah.
I'm a footrest.
You wanted to get stepped on earlier, so
Yeah, but I was like on my back, not on my face. I don't have face haptic.
This is what they do.
They do
with
sell
steps
them
on-
actually. You can get
Maybe.
face haptic.
just get
Like,
face massage.
step on your noodle.
Oh,
Let me.
You should have to chat. They like it more than me.
yeah, right. I have to.
Ugh.
I need more fanboy outfits.
It's out today.
That zipper looks awfully giant. That does not look
Yeah.
normal.
That is
Wait.
that is
That
actually
That
design
zipper is
decision.
massive. Wait,
That is design decision.
It's a fashion thing. Okay, I wouldn't understand. I'm not fashionable. Cause like, okay, does that look
I
natural?
mean, you have to understand.
Kira, you're like.
You
in
have to
front of that.
understand that these two sides go together also.
Yeah, but like,
Then
it's
it's about
flat.
within it.
It's the flattest zipper I've ever seen.
Could be worse.
Mm.
What do you mean could be worse?
Wow, you hate Varanto's clothes. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I will not come out for the VV anymore.
No, I'm sorry. No, it's the best zipper ever. It's the best zipper ever. I apologize.
I'm just trying something different here, okay?
No, the jacket looks cool.
Yeah.
The zipper just took my attention because it just looks really big on you. On you is like different. I think it's because you're bigger. Like it looks really big on you because you're smaller.
No, could be.
Yeah.
Tiny.
You inside me. Wow.
Ugh.
Excuse me.
This
What?
shirt is like this shirt
Mhm.
is. What? I don't. Okay, I just. Why?
You were so grabby. I'm sorry.
Why?
Yeah.
No, you're grabby. Rah.
That's not.
Were you boring? I don't.
Huh?
That's not the normal.
You left me hanging.
No, it's hardly edited Volvo.
A Volvo? Did you edit your Volvo around?
Volvo. I added my Volvo.
I like editing my Volvo too. I wasn't happy with mine, and I was like, yeah, like it.
I hate that I see clipping there.
Yeah.
Is it a cave-in or?
The Kira thing? Is it the
bad
custom
when you're
module or?
in desktop. If you're
Yeah.
standing,
Oh no, it's the Kira. It's the
works
Kira.
more
But
nicely.
is it a cave-in?
Me too. If I
Is it the
had
cave-in or the
one,
normal
out
one?
there.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, then I probably I can quickly fix that. Because I know it's just the fist bones. I just have to deactivate the fist bones via script. Via animation, then it works.
Yeah, like
I did this on the new closing now, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I had an animation
Voltage,
and
how's your
for some
card
reason
reading here?
breaks all the time, I don't know why.
How's
but
it
didn't
going?
want to work.
I'm very tempted of doing the same thing as you
I
eventually.
first thought it had like a cat
Good. Can I get a
out like a cat head,
Tesla?
but it's like the black is from my
What?
textures. So
Can I get a Tesla model? Use Tesla 3.
No.
No, we've
I'm
been
getting
Wow.
more textures for the cave-in.
How dare you?
Everyone wants just a skirt on my femur at this point. It's like, I don't know, it's mine. I'm mine.
It's fitting me well. Is that the best car to
A1.
buy here, like used? It's really cheap.
Well,
Where's
I'm
the-
killing
Neuter
Kira.
mode. LG, what are you doing? Come
I
on, come on, come on, come on, come on,
don't
come on, come on.
I don't like electric cars. You know this.
I know, I'm in Norwegian, you like me.
Oh, see what I do with the script. I have no fully outfit idea yet, but I will see.
I went against you.
Probably actually something like
You know
this
what?
for it
Good.
already is.
No,
Grabs you.
it doesn't work. Like
The
inside.
problem is with that, I cannot really be fitted on different outfits.
Wait.
No,
Wait. Doesn't work. No.
we'll see.
It does. It's like going up and down.
Put in a max.
Ah, come on.
Put in a max. You know the deal.
That was no deal. I didn't say that was a deal.
Put in a max. Come on.
I'll put you in my max. How about that?
Put it on a max.
I never know.
Uh,
There, it's
why
at
is it reset
200.
again?
Alright.
I feel like it's kind of weaker though.
No.
You're missing. There we go. It's
I know I'm missing.
You got used Call of the Year 2006 by Fin.no. I mean, like, the quality you get for the price, it's insane. Like, I was
Coxia.
comparing... Can I speak? I'm trying to speak.
Yeah.
I was
I got
comparing...
something like this for the.
I was comparing new cars, actually. I was comparing the Volvo
Like the kid.
EX30 and the Tesla Model 3.
I
Just like-
accidentally
I do this
met
for fun at
something
work
up
when
with
I'm
the
bored. I
case,
just
so
compare
this
cars.
side is just
And
clipped inside me, so, but I like
the
it.
new Volvo
Because, like,
has nothing, and it's more expensive than a Tesla. That has like self-driving,
you
and I'm like,
you can
this
see here
doesn't
that it
seem
should
like
be
a
here.
hard decision. Just make sure you buy
I
used
like
so you
the
don't give
hardware.
Elon more money, and you buy used Teslas. There you go, easy. And moisten me, I will blow on you if you come here like...
Oh,
I like how you immediately turned. That was not what I meant, you stinky brain. It's the reason I went for a Tesla. Yeah, like, so you start the problem with this is like, maybe we don't want Teslas because whatever, like, you know, company sucks or like the guy sucks. But you start comparing with other brands,
Can cheat the system.
and like,
Yeah.
If they're long?
there's no contest. It's
They're
just
not.
so much more shit that you have on one
No, not fully.
for like
I forgot
the
to
same
fix
or
it,
lower
clipping on.
price. It's stupid. I don't know how they do it. I think they just maybe they lose money on it and then regain with like
Yes,
subscriptions or
you
whatever.
had to like
No idea.
tyrant like 3 places to the lake. So it,
Technically. I mean, I normally.
What does
use it,
your
but I
have,
don't know, like, how
Voltage?
fully
Does it have like the FSD thingy?
yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure you can't use it in Norway, right? Like a lot of European countries, they don't like to use the self-driving thing. It was actually unlocked recently for Tesla employees in Norway. They can use it. We can't. We're plebs. But they are still a little more expensive. Yeah, the only thing that comes close is like the BIDs, yeah. But it's like, oh, I am being arrested. What is happening?
What's on my side?
So gay, did you
I
know
have the
that?
Like
FSD,
the
but
smiley.
better. How does it work in
Not
Norway?
somewhere.
Like, what does it do?
So,
The thing that always confused me about the Teslas is like, okay, they have all
Wait,
this
stand
shit.
still. Stand still.
Yes. I'm standing.
Oh, you're going gray hairs on your eyebrow.
Wow, he's
Ah,
getting
go
older.
Right
You
there.
made it!
he's
Oh,
getting
sure.
old.
What do you mean?
Fuck! You're going gray on your eyebrow. Literally, right there.
Fanboy
Huh?
for the state in that moment.
On the
Where?
corner.
With,
On the corner, right there. You're going gray.
Okay, you know what? Just because I'm older than you doesn't mean I'm ancient, okay?
Wait, stand still. Let me take a picture so you can
What?
see.
like
Hold on, let me. Don't look in the camera, dingus. There you go.
that or his
You gonna frame that?
That's a looking
Something
cool
editing
picture. I'm
up
not
there.
even kidding.
Send me.
just for the normal case.
You're gonna print
not
it?
even kidding.
Let me check.
That's looking
You
good.
had more stuff for the
Looks like I'm about to drop like an album. Like the start of a music video.
Yeah. Look at
Okay,
my
but
eyebrow.
stuff that
Cause
is
these
not
chips as this
compatible.
part so you won't go through.
all time
Oh
compatible.
fuck. Ah, cats! What
I
the
just never
fuck happened?
Always make the picture.
Whoa.
So everything is always.
I was
fully
reading
compatible,
that.
Except I really write it down, but.
Thank you,
So
Auto
far,
Fluff.
never
What the?
did.
You scared the fuck out of me.
Did you see the gray hair?
Thank you, man. The gray hair. No, fuck you and me on gray hair. Go away.
No, don't throw it away. What the
I'll
fuck?
see if that's the part so you won't get through
If
UV.
it
UV? Or like the
yeah, they're
Inspection
not
thing?
safe for work.
This is
If
just
it
rusted.
deactivated,
Please do that with push control with Linus
It's
list,
showing
but you can
activated
pay
gun.
60k for the full
Yeah,
version, but I don't
not what
recommend
I
it.
started to learn.
Because the full version doesn't work in Norway yet. Like, they're not allowed to.
Include the blend shapes.
I'm pretty sure.
Look at the gray hair he's getting.
Because the way the cars
Yeah, I
work
mean, it's
in the
getting old.
US
We have to put
is
them
you
down
open
so
your
it doesn't
garage
happen.
door, walk in,
This time.
click where you want to go, and it just
Yeah.
goes. That's illegal here in Europe and in Norway. Until they get more data, I think.
Where's this
You
real
know,
share?
whenever we change cars, I'll get another one.
And it's more by potty.
I keep poking Voltage like, hey, what should I buy?
Yeah, the pasties.
Excuse me, I heard pasties. What are you guys doing in the background?
Yeah,
Don't
just
worry
in your
about
gray hair problem.
Stop fucking judging my
Don't
gray
look
hair.
in the camera. Here.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
This is what happens when you turn 30. You're getting gray.
Oi, yeah.
Huh?
Lizard.
You're getting gray. You're turning 30.
Look
Getting
here.
gray.
What the fuck?
I
What?
feel so called out with that. I feel so fucking cold. I'm 34.
See, look what you did. Now always ancient. Because
I
of
bet
you.
if I just
I'm
go
always
through your
ancient.
actual
Just
hair,
go
I
younger
bet I'll
than me.
find one gray hair.
No.
I'm not to be
Mentally,
kidding.
I'm somewhere 22. Physically, I'm definitely
My
60.
gosh, Daly's.
And people
This
tell
is
from my
not.
face I'm
This is
somewhere
not good for
25.
me. I just
No,
like
come,
no.
wait, no, come back.
I would definitely have to change the
No,
physical.
my daily dyslexia.
Man, your model looks so great.
I'm already standing
My
for like
friend says
You're
you
mean.
make his
half an hour, my knees
panties
are already
moist.
Who the fuck is this guy? Who the fuck was that? Was it Emperor Palpatine? What the fuck? You don't plug me for shit. I do poke you for like cars. I was like, hey Voltage, can I buy this? And you're like, no. Can I buy? No. Can I buy this? No. To be honest, okay, I am very tempted to do one thing. Oh, it's my balls. I threw my balls.
Fucking sliced.
You make my panties moist.
Get sliced on stream. We're bringing your mom out? No, okay.
How, LJ? Tell me. Doesn't quality, hell no. I know they don't have like amazing Frisbee! He's gone.
Oh, right. I actually have to see if
Can you go
Blue
quick,
already has
Ryan?
that one.
Really quickly.
But this is
Thank you.
not for any.
You can poke me as much as you want. What is that supposed to mean? I'll poke you more. I don't want to spend money on cars though. I don't think we need to eventually, but not yet. I just want to know, like, I'm probably gonna like start studying a little bit of mechanic stuff. I already have knowledge from the motorcycle, but like I have 2 cylinders, so it's kind of like easier. Wait. Hi. Thank you. I'll give. I have like a treat like I can give eventually. I'll be cool. Down. Look. Oh. I don't know if you can get that one, not gonna lie. I don't think you can get that one.
Right there. Right there.
It's gone.
Mm.
This is something cool. Santa's rubbing butts.
2024. What happened?
What opinions me that making?
Just the question is, it's Santa's
We
rubbing
can
butts.
kidnap. We can kidnap Voltage for car stuff.
You were there.
I fill you
Was I there? Oh yeah, was it the stacking centers?
Yeah. So you can see it. Santa's rubbing butts. That's how they make
No, I
gifts.
remember they did a tower, right?
Yeah. They did.
Where the fuck is my print? I didn't print this. Is that here? So you should look at the called boss. Oh, the V8 motorcycle. I know that's very illegal. I don't even know that shit is legal in the US, man. Are we having more S today, or is time just passing by really quickly? Because I keep seeing Seribot fucking everywhere. It's really annoying. What the fuck? Okay, do you wanna see my favorite print? Look at my favorite pin.
Lizard.
Oh yeah.
Did you see it? Come on. I love this thing. It's so good. What is this? Whoa.
Nice.
Yeah, but
Man, I can't wait until I have sexy art again. It is in work.
What?
We're analyzing it.
I have better ass than that. By the way, I have better. Yeah, I just need to find them.
You need to find. Yeah, I have a better ass. I just
want
lost
to
it.
know, huh?
I lost it.
You want proof?
My stupid question to ask.
Hey, if you guys gonna do that, you should do it like
I'll show you some.
behind the camera.
If I find them, don't worry.
Technically. Okay, it's more thighs than ass, but
I have this one.
Actually,
That was a really. Why you say? Wait. Do you
hold
even
on,
know that?
Hold on. Their name is Kevin.
Yeah. So Kevin was the previous stream pet that we have before Kevin died.
Background, yeah.
Yeah, Kevin died. A car accident. Yeah. So now you're the we adopted you like the new Kevin. I promise you won't have the same fate. Don't worry about it. You won't be run over by anything.
Hold on, let me find the other ass. Hold on.
07 Kevin. It's okay. Look, we have. I don't want to say this because it sounds really bad. I was making a joke like new Kevin, but it's like no. It's really bad. I don't want to do that joke.
I'm trying to find the.
I do want to.
ass.
Can you help me though? We need to make a like those missing posters for what?
I can make them. I just need
Look at my
a
power.
good. No, I'll ask Ryloff. You know, Ryloff has all the pictures of Kevin. I'll just ask him. I'm gonna make something
yeah, I
funny.
mean, fair.
No, we need like a missing poster, like with a number. You can like rip off the things. and you
Yeah,
can, like,
but we
put it on
need
the...
we need a picture of Kevin to see how she looks like, and yeah, that's what I'm gonna ask Ryloff.
Hi, gamer. We should call Violet at like midnight again and just ask for a picture.
Yeah.
I love calling people at midnight for no reason and just be like, hey, what are you doing? 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Meow, 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 meow.
Hold on, let
But
me
welcome
find
back,
the
gamer man.
Asta.
How you be? Golden brown. Okay, no golden brown. Let's go back to synth.
You're a bit addicted to golden brown, aren't you?
Yeah, it may, like I unlocked the way of doing
Well?
like good shots without being horny bait. You like
Oh yeah, right. We just take this one.
you like
Oh my god, Big Pete
listen
jump
to a
scare.
song. What?
Sorry.
What? Big... Oh, Big Pete.
Sorry.
Which one of mine?
You guys want to go see Big
Fine.
Pete? Well,
You guys
do you
want
know?
to?
Do you know Big Pete?
Yeah, I know.
Oh, why is high like that? What do you mean?
Don't worry, I have Big Pete that's like saved. Don't worry.
Do you know the amount of comments I have with people asking me what world
I
that
have
is?
people DMing me.
It's insane. Every like minute I have a new comment on my phone. I go see
Yeah, first
what's
Kevin.
the Avatar world. And I'm like, bro, can any of you ask like, oh, how are you doing, Snowy? No, it's like, what's the forward? Give me the forward. Give me the forward. Give me the forward. This is just like up high. It's called an emote, man. 70V.
It's perfect for Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
I have a Valentine's Day heart. I need to. Where is this?
Yeah, I
Where?
got that too. Yeah.
I mean,
What if I want to rail them though?
what?
Yeah, just rail him in the train while you run the others over.
Where's my where's
the
my
bump.
Mazda Miata owner
The
roll?
bump saves the
Yes,
railing.
roll. When I buy one, we can both have the roll, okay?
Snowy, you have to utilize it. You just rail him in the train, and then the
While the
bumps
train is
help you.
coming, and then. Okay, what the fuck is this? What is this? Who was responsible for this? Was it you?
No, I'm uploading my ass.
What?
That
Did
sounds
you just save
productive.
it?
Yeah, that's perfect for you.
We all like to hear this. I'm uploading my ass. Oh, fuck off. I don't... Hi, Red. How you be, man? I really need to go through all the prints and delete a bunch of crap.
Oh.
I lost. I think I maybe
I don't have space
did
to save more,
I.
more prints.
I deleted the "Don't be a hero, I have a bomb." It was so good. It's the best one to use on the Maya.
Was there an option to
wanna see
delete
this
all
one?
your stickers from the world? Just your own.
You wanna see this one?
In the mirror, I thought
Me
it
every
was
time I
shit.
see blue. Anyway.
What the fuck? High voltage,
You
go
also
have
have
fun,
that?
man. All good, nice. Right, I think I'm probably gonna turn off the thing for a bit because it is
Maybe I
getting.
know what to gift you.
Oh,
I'll just gift you a postcard.
postcard.
Just need your address.
With
Whoa! Can I dox myself to you too?
Technically.
I'm gonna start asking my friends like, wait, your birthday's today? Can you dox yourself really quickly? Don't worry about it.
Oh,
And
no
then I'll
problem,
just show up. I'll be
it's
like,
also
hi.
totally safe.
Bro, I had this idea
Things
for
blue
so
already
long.
has a darkie, so I can't do much.
Bad. This one is bad. Bad. Whatever.
It's just a
guys.
banana.
It's not a banana.
Banana boy. Do, 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 do.
I
don't
need
even
to
know
buy
what mine
more.
are
I
anymore.
went out of my body pillow. You know, I
Yeah.
had this idea for a while that I want to do is I want to, when I know a friend's address and they don't know how I look like, I want to show up there one day, like out of nowhere, touch the bell, they open a door, I'm like, wrong address, and I leave, right? And then the next day, I joined the VC or something, and I'm like, oh, by the way, that was me yesterday. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, just get in
Whoa!
UPL.
Wait, hold on.
Huh?
Wait, come closer. We got it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's fair.
It's so good. We gotta put like the hand like this. Even.
I'll have to
What do
check
you-
if I've better ass. Probably not.
10 out of 10. Yeah.
But like, okay, really, look at the anatomy though. It's really good.
Yeah.
Like the little chat. Look at this.
All it is.
I don't know if I can even show this, but like, look at this.
That's a good band.
You're in the VR chat category. There's
Same
more a
this.
lot than everywhere else. I just love that.
I've seen worse. Don't worry about it. Snow UV with Daki. I mean, I am trying to get some merch thingies going on. So why are you nodding? I have my old
Daki,
one.
Vivi
You
Daki.
don't like the old one? No, I need to get a ref
It's-
sheet
it's-
for this.
It's okay.
Wow. Okay. No.
That's-
No.
It's good.
Ow. Ow. Okay. No, that was.
But
that was fucked
it's
up. That
good,
one
but
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for that.
I need a new one. I need to upload. I'll do like a. I'm
DJ
working on
thing.
getting merch things sorted, so I made like a body pillow
I'm
thing
waiting.
drop.
I mean,
but
it's
if you
not on the club
if you
most
get it
likely.
for the V, you need better fingers
I just want to upload more better ass of mine, so I'm now working on that one.
and fluffy ears.
I don't know
I have an
who
idea
I
of
would
one
trust to
art
make
that
my
I never
video
really showed.
actually.
so-
I will need to find out. That person who made yours is really good, but like it's super fucking expensive. You're
Oh wait,
stepping on good.
the ref sheet?
You're being stepped on goods.
I am being stepped on.
Fucking neat.
Yeah.
It's been so
like-
long. Like I don't have a ref for
Oh,
this
wait.
one. I have like a 3D
Oh, you
ref.
talk about the
only.
ref sheet. Who made mine?
Yeah, it'll
Yeah.
look very good in body pillows. That thing.
She is really expensive, but
Well,
she's
yeah.
worth it.
It's
I mean,
really
that's
expensive for the
thing, good
quality.
artists be
really-
expensive.
No, but it's really expensive.
I mean, I
Really
also pay a good
expensive.
fortune for my body pillows, especially for like commercial rights.
You're being sucked on my carpet.
Yeah, because you also need commercial. That's the thing. It's even more expensive. Unless it's like a
Yeah.
friend, like, hey, I'll give you like little
Nice
tug.
hat. I'm pretty sure this is probably my cleanest like texture I've done yet.
Your cleanest, really? I mean, yeah, kinda.
Let's see. And then back to.
Let's go. Why are you
I
gay?
sent you
Why
the
are you
missions,
waiting?
so you need
Why
to
are
do
you
them.
waiting? I didn't. Okay, I don't know how the MyWay set up. I
I
didn't
don't
find
know
them.
why this sticker.
Huh? I sent you for the mail. I don't
No, I
have
didn't
Discord.
find the textures on the Unity. There's the emission,
What?
but there's no map, but it maps to something. I can't find it. I don't know how it works. I need like a Unity expert like help on this. I don't know. I don't know where it goes.
But you okay?
You
What?
you can. So okay. So the Mayu, this thing as a
That's
emission
annoying.
thing with audio link, right? And it
thank you,
only
Kira.
shows up in some spots. So it has like a mask or a map or something.
You stood on my face.
And I got a new map to
will.
put the audio link
After
in my
this.
Stripe.
No.
I cannot find a place
To say.
where the stupid map is anywhere. I open decals, I open emissions, it's just fucking gone. I don't know. Okay, listen, don't fucking. I'm learning. Okay, you should support me. You'd be like, okay, yeah. Hi, D-Dog.
Blue.
I mean, if you do you know like what it is? Because if you know, I just cannot find it. I cannot fucking find it anywhere. It's really annoying.
Don't worry about it.
It's gay.
I
okay.
will get banned if I turn this into the camera. So
yeah.
I'm just gonna
Wow.
like I'm just gonna like throw it very far away. No, what?
You could just
Okay, it's
hide
gone.
it.
It's gone.
You just
It's
delete
gone.
it.
Thank you. You saved my career. I own you one.
Oh, I also already showed on stream. So.
Ah, okay, that's fine.
Why I need more stickers of my Sona because I don't have any.
I do need more. I don't have any.
You have stickers. I have none.
I have like
actually none of
one
my-
sticker.
No, you have a.
Sticker.
I'm talking
No.
about your
No.
actual Persona stickers. Emojis, stickers.
I have that one.
I don't
in
have.
VR.
I'm not talking about in VR. I'm talking about in general. You have a lot. I have none.
Well,
'Cause I'm
you should
broke.
more, man. You're broke. You're broke. Then don't spend money and be less
Yeah.
broke. How about that?
I can like help me.
If you didn't eat sushi and pizza every night, maybe you have some money left.
this?
Can you?
Uh-huh.
You could help me. You could help me.
No,
Bite your
that's-
nose off.
there's something called
How?
making food that you can do that's cheaper.
But still, I am
was,
gonna
like,
get
weird.
stickers till I'm broke.
Oh.
What is? Oh god.
Don't worry about it.
Are you guys chaining?
Just get my harem ready. Don't worry about it.
I'll put the leashes. Like, just see how many leash emotes
I
we can
have
get
no
from everyone.
leash.
Put a person.
And if one of the contacts, there's 3 leashes emote. I mean, 2 leashes.
This
like,
is why I need more
yeah.
art of someone or people. I'm lonely.
what do you mean?
I used to know.
I'm
Oh,
lonely.
somebody that I used to now. Bro, I hate that song. You know why? Right now, there's that anxiety song and there's that one. And whenever it stops playing, you're like, please be the good one, please be the good one, please be the good one. And he goes, anxiety. I'm like, fuck.
Oh god, don't fall backwards.
There you go. Hold on.
Snowy, you need to re-upload that with transparent background.
I know.
Wait,
Yeah.
Snowy?
Wait for it. Wait for it.
Question, like actually.
What?
Have you ever seen the two of this avatar?
The 2 of that avatar?
Yeah, have you?
Go on.
This
Go
avatar
on.
has a tattoo. I need to dress first though.
Whoa, take it off. Take it off.
Wait, hold on. Fuck.
Yeah. Get,
Oh no, I
the
think on the back.
camera.
Is it on the back?
I
Yeah.
will leave now because I have to start DJing.
Oh,
minute.
whoa. Why do you hate me so much?
Have to
Why
do-
do you hate me so much?
Nobody.
What do you mean? Why I
can't
hate
see
you so
anything.
much?
I cannot see anything. You're gonna do the thing, right?
can't
Go
see.
do DJ things and have a good night.
I do DJ's name.
I should join one. We need to join one time,
it's-
goods, and like do a little party on the DJ
I'm
thing.
dressing. It's on the back.
Is it-
I
is
mean,
it-
no, it's
Are you
probably
gonna go-
anyway
you're gonna
because of the
stay?
birthday party.
Snowing.
You gonna go with him? Or are you gonna stay?
Yeah.
In the end, up to you. It's like if you want to stay, you can stay.
You know what to
It's up to
decide.
There.
Oh,
I'm
whoa, I
lagging.
like. Sorry. Oh, wow. It says later. Yeah. Are you gonna? Oh no, God, love. Just what the fuck is that? You like almost crashed everyone. Jesus.
Yeah.
Wait, is someone touching me? My haptic suit is vibrating on my desk.
Oh yeah, yeah.
No, stop.
I think my feet.
It's like fucking off. Oh wait, can I stop it? Stop. There you go. Did you check? Did you
Doesn't work.
do? You'll see him later or me later? I don't.
You later. Yeah.
Yeah. You can go have fun and have a nice birthday, okay? Be careful, don't be too old.
Okay.
Yeah, they're gonna go ERP with Wawa. Wawa just went first, and then she's gonna go next.
Wawa?
Yeah, like Wawa's gonna do a DJ set, and she's gonna be on the bottom of the DJ set, like.
Yeah, you just see the.
Wawa, okay, Wawa is like this, right?
Yes.
Okay. We'll go ERP.
Let's go ERP.
We're gonna go ERP.
Wow, don't leave me with
first,
Kira. She's gonna leave. I'm gonna stay here with Kira. Like, what the fuck?
I don't know. You want ERP with Kira?
I'm gonna
Ah, we're having a threesome right now. Whatever. Like, screw this. I'm
Look.
tired.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, what the fuck?
Whoa.
Oh, don't leave me now. Now it's gonna.
Oh.
I'm just gonna be in the
Oh my god, yes.
corner
You made my
alone by
dream come
myself.
true again. Smack my tits.
Is it? I still want that avatar.
I can see your hands.
Why is this? Why is it erect? Why is it going up?
Oh,
Snowy, you didn't see
Yeah?
the tattoo.
It's not for
You
us. and
didn't
it's
see
the
the
bug.
tattoo.
sorry, I got distracted. Hold on.
The what?
Oh, wow.
You can
Sad.
It's not for
Bye.
us.
Have a good night.
So it's just for loading wrong loaded, I think.
Take it off.
A bit bugged for loading into the word late.
Wow.
For me.
Take it off. Is it in the back?
It's on the
Oh,
back.
look at that.
It's on the back. Good night.
Tattoo.
It's really cool.
Ah, good
LJ,
night.
you came too late. You can't touch me anymore. I disabled you.
The pants are not hiding the ass
Do
at
you
all.
want me to put it back for you? Should I put it back for you?
What are you gonna put back?
Okay, hold on.
What do you
I'm
put
gonna
back?
put this. I'm gonna put this back for LJ. No, Is it here? Yeah. Okay. Hold on. You
What
need
is
to
it?
guess. Let's see how long it takes until you guess.
It's a dildo.
No,
first one.
almost close. What
Oh.
the fuck is wrong with everyone here today? You know, like whenever I stream, everyone around me just says the wildest shit ever. I don't say much, and then like everyone just falls on me. Oh, you're so lewd. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? I'm just putting on the thing.
Oh, stop moving. Open your mouth. Now talk.
What the fuck? What do you mean?
Hold on.
What do you mean? Open your
Come
mouth and
closer.
talk.
Come closer.
What?
Come to chat.
I'm very well. I'm very well behaved.
Show
See, I can...
chat. Show chat your mouth. You see this right here? Right here? You see that right? This is piercing. Now, talk for me.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah, what the fuck?
What?
What the fuck?
It's floating around in there.
Let him be. Piercing
Don't
me.
swallow
I got
that,
stuck on the
that's
fucking thing I was doing now.
It
Thank you for that.
like Visines and face tracking.
I'm
it
stuck
doesn't?
on this now
Oh.
because you stopped me midways.
bad. What is it?
I've...
What are you doing?
Hold on.
What are you doing?
I got stuck. I've lost momentum.
What?
Yeah, I know.
What's your
It,
momentum?
like the piercing on the mouth doesn't do
His-
face. It does Visemes. It doesn't do face
his
tracking.
fist was stuck in his ass.
It doesn't do face
Oh.
tracking. If I catch more strays because you guys are being sus behind me, and I'm
he
like,
can use
oh,
himself
your
as a
stream is
muscle.
so lewd. I'm like, what am I doing anything? I was doing anything.
Your stream's not 18 plus.
Your stream is not 18 plus. Your mom's 18 plus. I hope. I really hope your stream is
Oh,
18 plus.
right.
Alright, LJ. LJ,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
fondle me.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is he working with your snoot? What the fuck?
Yeah.
Oh, do you have a snoot thing?
Yeah, why not?
Oh, what the
Snoot
fuck?
container,
Oh,
like-
it's a snoot thing. You can
look,
sniff my
look.
armpit and I'll feel it. LJ has many things.
Where are you? Where are
Wait,
you
wait,
going
wait,
again?
wait,
Is it
wait,
the old
wait,
one?
wait. Yeah,
the
it's the
old
old
one?
one. It's the old one. It's the shitty one. I'm sorry, I'm not that rich, okay? So if you have snoot
Oh.
contact, does it mean you can do this? Like, wait,
My
hold on,
titty.
hold on.
Yeah.
Why are you grabbing?
Come here, come here, come here. My foot, they didn't move. Look.
Yeah.
Oh, Snowy, did
That is so
I
weird.
sent you the link about like new slimy guy trackers, and you can have toe tracking.
I saw. I don't know. We don't want that. We don't want
Yes,
feet.
toe
We
tracking.
do not want feet toe tracking.
We need
no.
toe tracking.
We do not.
Yes.
Why?
Something.
Why do you need
I
toe
see.
tracking?
Toe tracking.
Tell me
You need to
one
switch the
reason
hands.
why you need toe tracking.
Cause
They're too
toes.
skinny.
Uh huh.
Here, I think I would.
Toe tracking, yes.
I like the face of this model actually.
Yeah.
It's a custom kilo.
I only want
I know.
new want new hands and maybe a new tail because the tail is just a block.
A block. I mean, it's fluffy. I like it.
It's okay.
It's
It
cute.
doesn't have physics. So if I turn out
Does your
tailing,
ears
it's
have
just
physics? Like it's like.
Yeah, you can take the
Oh.
ears and stretch them, and with the
Yeah,
with the
I
other
wanna-
I
Wait,
need you
what-
later, and you ignore me because you left. I need you to record something.
ERP?
No,
Oh, okay.
no ERP. Before that, I need you to
What?
record something.
What?
I have goods, I
What?
have you, I have
Okay.
me, and then we need
You
a
wanna
couple more
watch or do you want to
people.
participate?
It's a fucking.
Participate?
Hmm?
Participate? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
I'll
gonna
write
be.
down my
I'm
schedule.
gonna get.
It'll be okay.
I'm gonna get
Good,
close
good,
to
good,
chat.
good.
I'm gonna get close to chat. They like me more. All right, chat.
Ah.
Can you say yes? So even if you don't, can you guys say yes so I feel better?
It's
you lie-
European role playing, okay?
Can you lie to me so I
Not
feel
roleplay,
better, chat, please?
Yes, I really want to roleplay later.
Thank you so much. Whoa, 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 hello. You know what? If you
You
hold
can
me,
make him his ears like.
I'm a cat and it just looks like I'm purring because of the noise of the vest.
Yeah.
Meow. You know when you hold a cat and they're like meow. Meow.
I actually hold my cat differently.
Oh really?
One, I put my cat over my shoulder and hold her
Oh,
butt.
you do the
And she passes
we
out.
call it the potato bag. You put it over your shoulder.
Yeah, and she just
Then
sits there.
You
And
can
the other
pet
one,
like on the butt,
I
like pop, pop,
hold
pop, pop,
like
pop.
this. So like he's like straight right here, and his chest is on my
Oh.
hand, and she's just like
Is
he
that
just
like
looks.
when
And
my
then I
Alright,
bring him.
really like my LJ.
I bring him around, kind of like I bring him around like
It's like a
places where
weapon,
he
like,
can't
and then you
reach.
pew 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 pew.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'll bring him like, do you want this light? And he'll like sniff at it, like, no, next item, and then I'll just bring
Next
him around. the
item.
house.
When my cats.
Is my
I can do
hand
that
like
with one of my
melting
cats.
for some
Snowy. You know
Huh?
Pixie? The Pixie
Okay,
that cut the
something
wolf
is
and
wrong
kicked
with
up?
my right hand.
Oh, okay.
What?
Hmm?
It's fine, it's fine, it's fine, it's
I
fine.
have no. I have my hands together right now.
Oh,
I don't. What the
yeah.
fuck?
Maybe hide
Hello?
the hand that is wrong. Hide it from the cameras and then from the
Hold on.
trackers.
Let's see.
Oh,
Call.
wait.
There you go. And hey,
I
there
sent
you
you
go.
my bag, right, Goots?
Yeah.
The potato
You did, I
sack.
responded. It's so cool.
Chat. If you don't hold
pass.
your pets like potato sacks, you're missing out. It's very funny. I don't know if you can do it on dogs though, but cats, it's amazing. Some of them will freak out though, and then murder you, but that's fine.
Oh, what is it?
We don't care.
I still need to record some things for TFF,
Old
so
cat
I
like
don't know.
Borgie, yeah.
Oh,
Why are you gonna record things without me? How dare you?
I'm scared, dude. Oh no, it's for the bag. Because I have to record it in like.
Oh, can I be in your
Something.
bag? I'll record me being like on a like it's like a little jail. And you just walk around with me.
Yeah, you
I'll
can,
rec-
this actually is such a good idea. Hold
I'll
on.
record like a 2-hour loop of me just like sitting and like fucking around in the square.
Yeah.
And then you can wear me around the
can
corner. It's
make
like,
it
oh yeah,
clear.
this is yeah, you just put it on my
As
bag.
far as I know, there is no limit of how long the videos are.
I like
As
I like
long as
wave
it's,
from time to
like-
time and like
It's like. Just look around, look left to right, and then just like wave. You know.
and then sometimes like what? And then like for 30 minutes I just sleep on the floor or something.
Art VIP in DMs.
Art VIP on DMs.
Yeah.
So if you want context, LG has this corn bag with a screen on the back.
yo.
And you can put videos on it. He's gonna go to like a furry con and a video on the
Should I
back.
put the video? Wait, hold on. Should I link it on your general chat? Or is that too
Yeah,
spicy?
just put it on the. Wait, what? What is spicy? Nah, it's fine. Just
Is
put
it
it on
too spicy, you
the
think?
on the media thing.
Yeah, he just
Okay.
puts my the art I sent
It's like
him
you
and
want to
then
get out. Yeah,
he-
exactly. I'm like, oh, I'll bang on the like
Sure,
the
you
thing.
horny bastard.
Well,
I was just like,
Hold
connected.
on.
Be
I'll post it in general.
connected. Hi. Do you
Oopsie.
require assistance?
I do require attention. You've been gone for so
I'll
long.
need
I've never seen you in
attention,
my
too.
entire life. Where the fuck are you? When do you come
I
back?
don't know what I am.
When?
I don't know what I- Sorry.
When?
on Wednesday.
I'm never coming back. Yeah,
No.
it's illegal for me to come back
Jim
now. I'm sorry.
Boston. Okay, I can't come.
You can't just be like, yeah, I'm gonna kill myself. Fuck this, whatever. No, we're gonna stay
Wait,
here.
is
I'm
the-
gonna
okay.
finish stream eventually. We're gonna record the thing. We're gonna have fun, and then I'll go.
Hmm.
And then
I
I'll drink
posted
some
it
water.
in
'cause I'm
general,
really-
but I don't know what.
On
you...
my general
get
or
the
your
brain?
general?
Record... Oh no, your general.
My general. Where is my general?
Oh, der Name sind nur. Oh.
It's not sus. It's cute.
I mean,
No, the
it's kinda
first one is
spicy,
kind of
isn't it?
weird. Yeah, the first one is kind of spicy. LJ dancing is kind of spicy. Blah.
LJ
Blah,
dancing is
hello.
hot.
Hello, blah,
Yeah.
blah, 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 blah. Ah. Why the fuck did you learn how to dance? Okay, LJ ignored me. I'm sad now.
Oh wait, what? Sorry.
Wait,
What?
Oh, what the fuck?
No,
Chad hates me. LJ hates me.
I do not.
Man.
Fuck you. You know I love you.
Oh,
Bitch.
hate me.
Mm.
I'm sad.
No.
I'm sad.
What?
No, you can't. Yeah, goodbye forever. Yeah, exactly. Goodbye forever. You can't make it up. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay,
It's
I'll
illegal
do-
now.
LJ will go then. LJ will go.
Yeah.
LJ
No!
perish.
No, see. I haven't seen you like in ages. You know
Like
what to go.
the first thing everyone
No.
says is like, I'm just gonna die.
You know
I'm
let
just
to
gonna
go,
die.
unless
I'm
you
gonna
give me
die.
permission.
I didn't say. I didn't say the die word. Okay. What
That's
is moving?
fine.
Oh, I see. I see. what it
We can
is.
probably
I
leave this
see.
world.
I see what it is.
Is that light
I
stick? What is
see.
that?
I see what it is. Ass
Damn.
Oh!
I see.
God damn, it's a piece of ass.
I see. God damn.
Let me see if I can find a prettier world. God damn!
I can't jump off.
There you go.
What is this?
No.
Ooh. There's a new avatar search world.
Stay up there.
How the fuck did you go down there? What the hell? Oh, you can jump!
Oh no,
Yeah,
guys, he's
yeah,
there.
you can
Run. He's run. He's there. Oh no.
Look at the little lights.
What
Look
is
at the
this
little
world
light
anyway? What's the
sticks.
place?
Look at the little light sticks. They're so cute.
A bunch of random stuff in the air.
Wait, where do
We broke the world. We broke the
Like right
world.
here.
Oh no, I don't like
Right
this.
to ERP
This
right
is
here.
this is very bright. What the fuck? You know, when I say I
On
like
top of
bright
the fucking
worlds,
body. No, actually,
Oh.
that's disrespectful.
Yeah.
when I say I like bright worlds, I don't
Oh,
mean
so
like
we're
I'm
ERP
dying.
Up there? Okay.
Why are you guys speaking and why are you going RP and without me?
Oh, I mean, I can take the. I actually just showered. You want to smell me?
Yeah, like
You wanna smell me?
Jim Carrey.
What was the scent of the thing you used?
Vanilla coconut.
Vanilla coconut. I'm gonna eat you right now. No, you cannot smell like vanilla coconut. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're doing it on
Why?
purpose.
I don't
And
know.
strawberry and
Did you see
cream.
that game? I found like I went to Steam. I was at my work on a meeting and I'm like, I'm gonna buy a few games on my wish list because there's a discount. I went to the top selling games on like Steam at the moment.
Eugenics.
And the first one of the first one was, can I have coffee with breast milk? That's the name of the game. It was like $10.
Did you play it?
I didn't buy it. That's on my
Nah,
wish
he
list.
got it on it. He got it on
Oh,
his
it's
wish
on your
list.
wish list.
Yeah.
I mean, I was curious.
No.
It's just-
Have you
I
have you
cannot-
seen the game?
And I cannot buy it.
Have you seen the game Eugenics?
I saw you posted a
Where-
thing. There was a cat and I was saying.
Oh
feet,
yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it. I've seen it. I've actually seen it.
So the
is
reason
that
why
about?
there's a question mark is because the gender is unspecified. Like you don't know the gender, but that is the name. Whatever is on top of it is the name of the cat. For some reason, his
It's
name
called
is
Feet,
Feet,
question
and then
mark?
the fucking the sex of the cat is unverified, so it's
Oh.
Feet question mark.
Do you name the feet?
I didn't name it. It's auto-generated. You cannot name any of the cats. It is
Wait, is the
auto-generated.
game out yet? I thought
But
it wasn't
what's
released
the,
yet.
Oh, yeah.
The
Give
game.
me
Yeah.
I don't know what
Oh,
is it
okay.
about. What
The
is it about?
gist of the game is having cats, and you go on a. Have you ever played Final Fantasy Tactics?
No, I didn't play any Final Fantasy.
So it's like
anything.
a grid. It's a grid system, and then you like fight other things on it, right?
It's
Yeah?
like
And then it's a
graphics like
roguelike. It's a roguelike,
it's
and you have
kinda
to
like
breed the
Bindings of
cats.
Isaac graphics.
Okay.
So I was like, when I was like playing, I was like, end the night. I was like, what the fuck, the end the night? When I ended the night, the cats just started fucking and made a kitten.
Yeah.
That is literally the game. I'm like, what?
So
is
they
this
fuck,
game?
and then
It's
you go
kinda
to the
fun,
next
though.
day and you
I
fight
have to get
again.
on my wish list actually.
And
Yes,
you can get
fight
new
is
cats.
weird.
Yeah.
Yes, you get new cats, and then whatever
James so
fucks.
goofy. It should be
There's the
fine.
chance that they get their stats on the kitten or the fucking skills of the parents to the kitten.
So it's like actually like
So you breed
Genetics.
cats. Yes, that's why it's called Mugenics.
can we
It
mod
is
ourselves in?
gross. The game is gross.
I think I saw a
It's the
clip
same people
like
who
now
made-
that you're talking about like
the same
I-
people who made Binding Isaac.
Yeah, it is the same
Oh,
graphics.
I like by fucking by. Okay, I need to get this then. Binding of Isaac is
Yeah.
amazing.
You have kitties today.
LG is
Yeah,
rather
The
tame
other
today.
the artist's sake, it's 2 to 3 months.
I'm very tame today.
So it's taking away.
Did you
Yeah.
play it?
Oh my
I mean,
god.
how it can be expensive actually. I saw it. That's one of the
Yes,
ones that when I
hello,
was
kisses.
searching, I saw it on
It was
the.
like $25.
Yeah, I saw it on like the discount thingy. But then I got distracted by the breast milk game. For like you know, it's
That's what
reasonable. I think.
distracted you. Oh my
What?
god.
You can't. Okay, you're scrolling Steam and then you see, can I have coffee with your breast milk? And I was like, okay, what is this?
I'm not gonna question you anymore. Like, I don't even want to know what's on your wish list.
Like, let me go to my Steam
Yeah.
wish list right now. Let me see. I'm gonna see.
Yeah, somebody
I
buy
need
fucking
to
Snowy,
know.
the stupid
No,
game.
I need to know what the game is about. Okay, I cannot see it because I'm streaming on. I really hate.
3 months.
Why does your
No,
chat
no.
like associate
Yeah,
with you? Like, they
the last two
associate
picks
me
are
with
from the
being
artist,
sussy.
so-
Like, I don't
You are
understand.
sassy.
I
Yeah,
am?
I
feels
completely
wrong.
forgot about the Ari because
I
like,
thought
You can't
It's
see like when you're using the Meta headset, you cannot see the stream library. It does not let you.
Yeah.
You can't see. I can't see my wishlist because I'm streaming from my Quest Pro. What the
Oh,
fuck,
it-
man?
It's with your dragon, but they might simplify it a bit, like so there's no
Yeah.
galaxy in the first. So
yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Are you guys talking about more
Okay.
porn? More like
yeah,
more commissions and stuff?
yeah.
Kira, do you have a house already? Like, do you have a?
No,
Why are you like? You could have bought a house with the money you spend on commissions.
Oh my gosh.
Not
oh my
really.
gosh.
I think you
Why?
could.
it's a bit big.
I want to boop you.
Okay, I'm not ready for this, LJ. I was
Please
doing
eat
something
me.
on my PC.
Oh my gosh, that is
That's-
full of
that's-
ass.
What
Oh
my
the
gosh.
fuck? Okay,
Oh
okay,
my
okay.
gosh.
What the?
That S guy.
Where
That's
the
like
fuck?
Oh, over there. That was a
Where?
big load of ass. I'm not even complaining.
Where is
Holy
he?
shit.
Where is he?
I think he's too big. He's not loading.
I think LJ
Oh,
is so
he's
big.
Here, he's behind us.
I think LJ is so big we can see. No, do it again. Do it again. I
No,
missed it.
it's
I missed it. I
What?
missed it. Do it again. Do it
What do
again. I
you-
missed it. I missed it. I missed it.
The bit is you missing it. Damn it.
Yeah, I
Why'd you
missed
say
the
anything?
big. I
Wait,
missed the
that was
big.
20 that big.
Come on.
Please.
I gotta do the name. I gotta do the name one last time. Hold on.
6,
Oh my
7.
Oh.
Yeah. Wait, do the thing. I'm gonna go to this poll. LJ, we're inside of you.
Oh, we're inside of
Oh,
him.
what the? What is that?
Oh,
What is that? What is that? What the?
what was that?
We caught him in 4K.
What's
We
the-
caught him in
Wow,
4K.
what
We
the-
got him in
What's
4K.
that? What was that?
That's more.
LJ, do
that's
the
the
thing.
inside belly and
I don't think he can
Yeah.
hear us. I don't think he can hear us. He's too big. Can't hear anything.
He needs to do the thing and flop.
Hey, can you climb it and say, do the thing, do the thing? He can't hear, it's too big. Let's do the like the mimic. Come on, do this.
Do the thing.
He cannot hear.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know what he's
Oh,
doing.
yeah,
Look
he
at the
has a mole
mole.
on his
Yeah,
tail.
you can see the
yeah,
giant mole.
I was about to say.
Do
that's not a
the
mole,
thing.
It's just a mic
Do
when he
the
smashed with his
thing.
boobs.
It looks
Do
kind of
the
cool.
thing.
It looks kind of cool with all the little lights. Whoa!
Oh, yes.
Whoa! I think he's gonna fall with his mouth on
Yes,
us.
yes. Oh my god.
Oh! I can't see anything. I can't see anything. Alright, we gotta call him out. We gotta call him out. I saw too much shit.
That's how he got the mole on the boobs. He just squished
was my forehead.
eyebrows. That's not.
It was my forehead like a dunk. LJ, can you come back? Can you come back? Come back here.
Oh,
Come back.
yes.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Oh my gosh.
I'm starting to think he's into vor.
It's like petting like a big dragon.
Good. I'm starting to think he's into vor.
Yeah,
Huh?
maybe.
I'm think he's into
Maybe,
vor.
yeah,
Fred.
yeah.
What do you think? Allegedly. Yeah, we don't know.
I can barely hear you guys.
Are you sure?
Okay,
about
come here,
that?
come here, come here, come here, come here. I have a question for you.
Yeah, what is it?
Come over here, come here.
What?
Come here, come close, come close.
What is it? Oh,
Okay,
I'm
so-
here. What is it?
You lay down, right?
Huh?
And you went flop. And the
Okay.
camera went inside
Yeah.
of you, right?
Yeah.
Why do you have a
We could
stomach?
all see all the war stuff.
It's up to here. The throat's like up to here.
No, it goes up. Okay, no, you bullshitting. Okay, I'm gonna call you out. I wanna call you out, okay?
There's
Hold
no
on.
stomach.
It goes up to here. Here. This is
There's
not a.
no stomach.
This is not a
okay?
throat.
There's
It goes to,
no
your, to your
stomach.
belly button.
Yeah, no, okay.
Question, do we
Oh,
have to
does
stand
it?
on this? It's really
Yeah,
like
it
a little
does.
space. Ah.
I think I'm not into vor. I'm never was into vor.
You're in
We just like
war.
moss
You
here.
know it.
We're not into vor. We like moss.
Yeah, more.
We like- yeah.
More.
Vor
Moss
is
is
gross. Vor is gross. Moss are great.
More so good. Yeah,
Moss
I
are
don't,
great.
Don't swallow.
I don't like digestion here, but more so good.
That feels like a nibble. I'm sorry, Muff is tiny.
I'm doing like the
Nipple?
code
Where's the
nibble.
nipple?
Nibble. You're nibbling my piercing.
Oh, well.
Oh yeah, I
Put a
punched
9
her
gold
by
on it.
accident like a few days ago. Was it yesterday or like the other day?
You punched me in the pierce like on this.
I had my
Oh,
hand
like
like
this
this,
right here.
right? And she was like over here, and then I did this, like smack, like right in the.
No. Do you have any
Yeah, I
piercings?
have this.
So you know.
Me no.
I have this
no.
exact piercing.
Does she have a
smacked
fucking
me.
like this nose ring or no?
Yeah, it's exactly like this.
September.
I have a lot of
Except
piercings.
except this one over here.
No, I have this one. It's just the ball. I actually have both sides, but I had to take this one out because it was pierced wrong. So I'm
Oh
getting
yeah,
this
there's two
pierced
of
again.
them. Yeah. I love
I
noodles.
have both
Welcome.
this septum, nose rings. I'm getting another one, but
It's really
not
fucking
in the
annoying,
face.
'cause
Nine
I
volt on
like-
her.
Ah, yeah.
Okay, I'm getting another
I don't
piercing,
think-
but it's not gonna be on the face. Basically.
I see.
It's really bit annoying because like
I also have my stomach, yes.
Like it's really annoying because like I can't fucking move because it just get like fucking caught on them and I'm like fuck I hate them so much. I'm gonna switch them off one day with like magnetic ones so I can go with the magnet like
It would be cool if I stretch
be
these
Mo.
ones
Welcome,
out
man.
and I take them
Thank you
out
for
and I
the
can
follow.
squirt like water out of these. It'd be fun.
ah I wouldn't know. At least the milk is funnier.
You know what? I should just let you start looking at your chat, and then like whenever somebody follows, I'll be like, oh thanks, oh thank you for the follow, and then like I'll just like take over the chat.
You know what? Chat LG stream now. There you go. Camera is here. Camera is here. I want to anchor it. Audio from camera. I'm gonna go to the bathroom. You got a good luck. Bye. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Thank you for the tier 1 sub and everything.
Oh, there he goes.
I'm gonna take over and
I'll
fucking
just stream now.
subs. No, go back! This motherfucker. Is he going to get snacks or what? What is he doing?
I don't know.
I was looking in Discord for a minute, then I put the menu aside and it was just Snowy's crotch right in my face.
Oh my god. Down. Good boy. Good boy. Oh, that's gay. Where did he go? Oh my god, he's probably like getting something to drink and like
Pee
snacky.
break.
Of course he would. Of course he would.
Oh, he's people.
LJ stream. He changed.
Man, he pee a lot.
Hi, my name's LJ. I like juice. Yeah, I miss streaming too, which I do miss streaming, but I'll probably stream like I'll probably stream like a couple weeks before what's it called? TFF. I have an idea and I have It's like I'm gonna re-debut. No, I'm not gonna re-debut. I'm just gonna start streaming again, like an idiot. Like nothing happened. Like absolutely nothing happened. Thank you. Hi, streamer. I'm new here. Oh, hi, Snowy. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the stream. We do absolutely nothing here. Sometimes we pick our nose. Sometimes we get big, and then we try to avoid Kira getting us banned and everything every now and then. That's about it, really. Also, Goats. I want to put a 9-volt on her nose.
Oh, well.
What?
Yeah.
I want to put a 9-volt on it. Like,
Oh. Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Hold on.
Okay. Gonna rip off my face.
He hates it. No. It's not. How do I? Hi, first time chatter. Snowy VR. No, I do not hate you. No, I actually I adore you and everything.
He
Hey,
hates me.
I don't.
Snowy actually hates me. I'm sad.
How? No, he does not hate you.
He does. He
This
does.
What should what should I
He left
call
me on the
like my chatters?
street.
Because like you know how people call them like something. You know, I'm gonna call them the juicers. Is that appropriate? I'm not sure.
Juicers? I mean, yeah.
You haven't gonna be this guy is like just watching stream and not actually going to the restroom. This is even for content again. Like, why?
Yeah.
Don't. Oh my god. Oh, I keep putting my paw in his face and he keeps like.
Yeah, he likes getting pawed in the face.
Okay. One, Snowy actually likes moss. Two, he's not very much into
He's into
paws.
feet. He is into feet.
Is he actually into feet? Kia?
Into
Oh, I
feet, yeah.
remember. I just remember that he like. Should I say that? Am I allowed to say that?
Wait, do I? Wait, say to me in DMs.
Oh,
It's about the nacho thing.
He likes.
No.
He likes
Think
He
thumb.
likes DPS on the fiend.
Like,
Sam. I'm invited.
oh my god! Hold on.
I am like too
I'm gonna
pure
send you
for
a DM.
this.
No, you're not. You are definitely not. But sure. DM me right now. So I can actually
Let's
fill
see.
it. Oh. Oh. Let's see. Did you DM me?
I
Did you DM me?
Let's see.
Oh my.
There we go.
There you go.
Let's see. I am not curious. Oh!
Yeah.
Oh!
Yes, do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, because it was you. We can't say that on chat. All right. Never mind. Please, yeah, nothing happened. Don't worry about it. So he's gonna come back and he's like, "What the fuck did you guys tell chat?" Like, nothing.
Oh my gosh.
So
You want me? Go tell Kira. Go tell Kira. It's up to you whether you want to keep that. Like, you know, 'cause I don't want to say that out loud. 'Cause, like, okay, listen.
That's the thing.
There is another thing. I mean, you can't. I'm pretty sure he was gonna say yes, but just make sure you wait for him to say yes or no. But why do you guys think I'm sus whenever I show up in chat? Like, I don't know. Like whenever I show up in stream, they think, I'll just hear his trust now. No.
That's avatars.
Oh no, he's having lag. Oh
I
no,
do?
look at the stream. He's having lag because AFK.
Oh god. Oh yeah, because like the quest, like whenever it shuts off, it.
Oh yeah, the slow motion. And not slow motion.
Hey. Oh, okay, I'm
Stop
gonna.
motion?
Let's see. That was. Where is it? Oh man. Oh, is anybody actually going to TFF next month? Texas
No.
Great Fiesta. It's coming. It's starting next month, like end of March actually. 10 many going. I'm actually really excited to go.
The last two pictures are from the artist that makes art with goods.
Are you sending me porn again?
One yes, one yes.
Oh.
The
Hey,
second one
no.
just us.
Oh gosh, I lost my phone.
That's
No.
gay. Kira, that's gay. No, phone!
It's fine.
What phone do you guys have?
I have an iPhone 15.
Oh. I forgot
Yeah.
you guys are iPhone users. Disgusting breed, actually.
And
I
there's an
just- I know-
iPhone. Huh?
I never planned on having an iPhone.
I don't know, like I'm pretty sure iPhones are like good for their how do you say that? Not their environment, but it's like your computer's connected, your iPhone's connected, your files are connected, like that.
Yeah.
Oh, what
That
the
small like platform. Like for me, it's just like my phone and then my PC. That's it,
What
you know.
the
Yeah.
fuck
Like
just
everything
happened?
else is like external. I'm not sure, but I just can't stand using like an iPhone. What's wrong?
Help.
The
I don't-
only reason why I'm
Welcome back
using
to-
iPhone.
welcome back to stream.
Okay.
It's- I think the only reason I'm using
welcome back,
iPhone is
to
like
stream.
because I had like other phones before.
Yeah.
Like a Huawei, Samsung. Also, I grabbed it by accident. Sorry.
Where's
like,
the- where's
when I had
everyone?
those, they're just broken easily. When I got
Oh,
an
I see.
iPhone, it's the only one that hasn't like broken.
Well,
so
you
I was
keep
like,
dropping
sure, I'm
them
using
all over the
that.
place,
No,
so it's not
like that,
really their
that.
fault.
It's not like that type of broken. It's like the SIM card before and like the battery itself. Just no, I had to switch.
The
There you go.
phone that I had that I liked the most
What
was
did I
an
miss? How was
HTC,
the-
but then
how
they
was the
stopped
LG
making new
stream?
phones.
Yeah.
Did you like the
They
LG
were
stream?
super-
Was it
super
better than my
durable.
stream?
Yeah.
Do you guys want more
So
LG
that's why
stream?
I
Or
I am
LG
using an
stream
iPhone
chat?
because it's the only one that hasn't done that.
Meow 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 meow.
Mm.
Whoa.
I like the iPhones because they
Whoa.
have a lot of
Whoa,
VTV features, mainly like face tracking and desktop, and they're like okay.
Yeah.
I think everything has
I'm
their.
actually tired. LJEP.
Why is
EP.
that?
No,
Why always ZP when you join
Oh,
me?
cause I got home. I literally wake up at. I work at 3 in the morning. Why would I not be sleepy?
Why do you just like not like work?
Did you wash your ass
Hey,
that's
thank
today?
you for
For
the
me.
prime, bro. Why do you work, Helger? Tell me.
I don't know. I don't have a fucking glucose guardian. What do you want from me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Kira, you want me to be my sugar daddy except you're the bottom? Wait, that's not. What that be? What does that mean? Would that be just what's that called? Fin doming or what?
I don't know.
Dumping, like financial dominating.
What are you talking about fem dumbing? What is happening?
Findom. You don't know what Findom is?
I can
I
assume
actually
what it
don't
is.
know.
Okay, all right.
I can assume
somebody
by
asked me
what
to
the-
actually like financially
Indicate us,
dominate. Like this
LJ.
is not like a normal occurrence. It was like 3 times already, and I just one of them gave me their PayPal account, and it had a scary amount of money in it.
What?
I closed that
wait.
account so fast.
Wait, go back.
What?
Wait, I thought you meant fem dumbing. No, fin dumbing? What the fuck?
Fin,
What
financial
the
domination.
Okay, this
Be
is.
having somebody. Okay, we're gonna educate you. Okay.
I don't know about
the
like this
more
one
you
is
know.
new to me.
Okay.
This is
all right.
completely new.
Financial domination is a
Okay.
kink wherein somebody has control of your money, and that let's say you give me control of your like debit card, your bank account statements, and do whatever, and then I take you. It is a weird, in my opinion anyway, weird.
And that makes them.
Okay.
That makes them hard.
Yes. Yes.
How?
What do you say hard? But
I mean, it's
um,
like, right? What the?
okay,
Huh?
all right. So, that's what I thought too. So I thought it was a joke. I thought it was a complete joke. And I was like, yeah, I want you to control my money, and then you can do whatever it is. Well, and as I like sit there without power, without the ability to stop you from just buying whatever the fuck you want.
It's okay. There's no more.
And I thought it was just like an RP thing. It's like whatever. Well, they gave me their account, their PayPal account, and I logged into it. It had a scary amount of money in there, and I've never closed anything so fucking fast and logged out
I
from
was
anything
just like,
so fucking
okay,
fast.
transfer
I was
everything.
like, oh my
Are you
God.
enjoying
Yep,
this?
close.
Like, are you
Yes,
supposed to spend
6
it or just
fucking
like
digits?
give him shit?
No, they want me to buy whatever the fuck I want. Obviously,
Bro,
he told me, hey, there's a limit, but you know.
6 digits. I would
was
be
like, oh my
rolling
God,
on a new
no,
GTR,
we're not doing
man.
that.
I would be rolling on a new
No,
GTR.
no.
I'll be like, I
No,
hit
no,
up
no,
Nissan.
no.
Like, what's up, boys?
But the that was the thing, and I was like, oh my God, I'm scary, very scary.
I know, Red. We're gonna have Metal Gear Solid 4 on the PC. We nerded out about that already here.
Oh wait, Snowy. So like, are you able to actually like meet your thing for a second? I'm gonna ask you a question.
Meet? Meet what?
Mute.
Mute. Okay.
I'm gonna ask you a question.
Okay. They shouldn't. Can I? Yeah, you are muted right now. They cannot hear you. Yeah. Wait, what? Hold. Yeah. Oh, with the cheese, yeah. Wait, I don't know why I'm gonna mute you. Like, I don't know why you need to get muted. This is a known thing. I've told this story before.
I don't know. We were contemplating saying it in chat. We were like, oh my God.
My face
I don't know
tracking
if I should or
isn't
not.
working. I don't know what the fuck is going on actually.
Oh,
Like,
turn it off. Turn off.
He's done it multiple times.
BRC EXP. BRC
Trust
EXP.
me.
VRC what?
Oh, he's done it multiple times.
Can I turn
Oh,
on
it's
Somebody
string
just grabbed my
cheese?
foot. Like, no, somebody just grabs it. Literally.
Oh, Fisherman,
You
can
just
I hear
grab
stuff
my
like that?
foot
What do you
sometimes.
mean? My fucking face
Damn.
tracking,
All
man.
right.
Yeah.
Oh,
I suspect
It's
my
a hack.
vest is fucking with the OSC for some reason. I'm not sure how. Because this did not happen.
look,
Before the vest.
AJ is doing self-service.
What? What are you
Oh
guys?
my god.
I
Oh my god. Ellen is flexible. Holy shit.
Look.
Look how flexible. It's like.
Oh wait, why? Oh, I'm in the quest menu.
AJ is making himself.
Resume?
No, it's
Oh,
not
what
okay.
the fuck? Is this a new feature? I was in the quest home menu.
Oh.
Yeah, no wonder it was stopped. There you go, I have it back. It's so weird. Bro, I used to like, when I joined VR the first time, like I had a Rift S, an Oculus Rift S. And I was like, this is the best shit ever, like, amazing. I got full body with an index and I was like, holy shit, full body with an index, nothing can beat this. And for the longest time, I didn't really care about face tracking. I was like, whatever, it's just a niche thing. I cannot not use face tracking. It is impossible.
It bugs you if it's off.
If I turn it off,
The,
I don't use my avatars without face tracking anymore. It's crazy.
I am the same. I'm just saving my quest for the record thingy.
Oh, yeah,
basically.
It's like it sucks because like whenever you're looking at a model and you were like, oh my God, this model's so cute, and it was like face tracking is not supported. It was like, oh man. And you
No,
don't
like
mind
all
it.
my old, I don't use my old models because I need to go one by one and update them with the face tracking, and it's just annoying. It's not spoiled, like actually, like you should going from non-full body to full body is a big jump, and it's only like it's like a thing you have to experience, and it's only you only get that feeling again when you go to face tracking again. It's like amazing.
Oh no,
Just spoiled them
the
bitches.
Zin-
Fuck off, you mister. I have full body and everything and I don't use it because I'm too lazy for it and whatever. Also, be ready for tomorrow. Okay? I'll send you the time. I sent you timestamp already. Yeah. We should
What are
we
you
should
doing
use our
tomorrow?
Weakers. By the way, do you have your Weaker? We should use the Weakers, the OG ones. Like fuck it. It's it doesn't have face tracking though. Whatever. It's fine. I can deal with it. Or the
Okay,
Hopkins.
okay.
Weaker.
You
I
need
haven't
to
seen-
use your wicker more.
Do you know, not that one, the OG one. Do you know how, like, I haven't seen a Wicker Beast in so long.
They're rare.
Same with
bro.
Rexes.
Nah, Rexes are everywhere. Like, I've seen the shit out of them.
Oh wait, hold on. Let me just.
I have a Wicker Beast called Performance and it's very poor. I don't know what the fuck I did. It's 500 megabytes of texture memory. What the fuck did I do on this thing? 20 megabytes of download size, 500 of texture memory. Okay, fuck off. The ads have to be broken. There's so many of them. Every time I look at chat, there's ads. The fuck? This... We're supposed to have ads every 30 minutes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of them. That's it. Like, you literally cannot talk to chat because you get distracted for a bit and then there's ads playing. You added like 5 recently. You're collecting Weakers. Oh, this makes me feel weird, man. Look at this. Yeah, old.
Fun fact, I don't know if I told you, but when I first joined
wanna see
Reaction,
my
I used to
finger?
use a lot of Wickers. I don't know if you
finger?
knew that.
You're flexing because I don't have fingers.
Good job, Snowy. Good job.
Oh my god.
Snowy.
Huh?
I don't know if I told you this before, but when I first joined Reaction, I used to use a lot of Wickers. Like, actually.
Yeah, they're like Contra is saying, they're nostalgic now. Like, I use this and I'm like, I use this and I feel like, bro, I want to go to the airplane world and zoom around. Where's Bubbles?
Oh, the
After
airplane
FK,
one, the one you showed me
what the
before.
thing of your air dryer is full? Oh, the air dryer. I was like, air fryer?
Is it that
No,
one?
Okay, go. What?
Is that the airplane world that we first met in? You showed me that one?
Maybe.
The one airplane world we used to go when we first met.
I was to go there a lot, so probably. It's the OG world, the bigger one, the bigger airplane one. Everyone used to go. I don't think it's I don't know if it's active anymore. There used to be communities around flying and like doing tricks. I think there's still a lot. Probably less. The saddest part is the sign language community. I went to the... Maybe there's a new world that I don't know. Oh, Mr. Dummy. Okay, there's a new one. There's 100 people. Never mind. So there's a new one. School for Dummies. Because there was a sign language world where I learned how to do sign language. And I went back and it's dead. There's no one. There's 0 people. And there used to be like a ton of people there. I met a crap ton of people there, but it just died, I guess. Or maybe they made a new version. I need to go find it again. Actually, I met a guy there. Test Pilot. It's called Test Pilot. I find it so funny in VR. Like, usually when there's a new asset, like the planes, they make a world like called Test Pilot, so you can test the assets, and that's the most famous one. The one where you can test the things is like usually the most famous. Yeah, when I used to do the sign language thing, I met someone who was blind in VR. They had like a radiation accident or something, and they were like going blind. Which is kind of fucked up because I've never seen them again. So it's been like a few years. I may have them added, maybe we unfriended, I don't know, but like, yeah, they were blind and they were playing VR. Kind of cool. They explain how it worked and etc. Wait.
It's still loading.
Meet the E Peldry. Fine.
Lizard.
He never saw you. God damn it, man.
What?
They're having
Why
a
is
blast
it
in the
lizard?
entire room with their
Lizard.
milk.
Blizzard.
Lizard.
I do not want to know
Lizard.
more about that detail, Ben. So
I
yeah,
said your nose?
Mal was suffering from the world.
No, no, it's not.
Sorry, Domino. This weekend is really badly optimized.
It's the
Oh.
button.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Lizard.
A lizard. Don't let the elder leave. Make him die
Lizard.
of eepiness.
Lizard.
You told me I had to stay here
Lizard.
until we record, so I'm staying here until we record.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's the after
Lizard.
stream. Actually, you can do that. Like, I really want to do something today. It'll be kind of funny, I think. It'll take a little bit though.
Lizard.
Okay, I found the game
Lizard.
that I was talking about.
Lizard.
It's actually, I was wrong.
Lizard.
It's called Can I Get an Iced Coffee? Wheat breast milk.
Lizard.
Specifically iced coffee.
What the fuck?
I don't know!
Lizard.
I was a game developer, that's the kind of shit I will be doing.
I don't want to know what games you would make. You were like a game developer.
Lizard.
I made a 6-to-1
So-
roulette. I need to see if that works.
I remember that.
Goods was playing chat, and I was bored, so I made a website where it gives you 2 6-to-1 posts, and you need to decide which one is higher or lower in terms of, like, you know, views, and it's random, and it's kind of I have it locally, but the way the E6-to-1 API works is a little bit wonky. Like it has a global limit for requests, so I kind of made like a pooling thing, so it may work. I should probably just deploy it somewhere and like, here we go, chat, enjoy. It's kind of entertaining. You're like, okay, this one looks good quality, higher. And then like when you get one from 2 fandoms, I'm like, oh, My Little Pony, oh, that's gonna be insane. It makes you think about the prawn preferences of the people.
Yeah.
And I really gotta see if I can start streaming early, because you guys are fucking dead.
Yeah.
Who's playing you?
Wow.
I'm really thirsty for some reason.
You know what you should do when you're thirsty?
What?
You know what you should do when you're thirsty? Okay,
No.
you know what? No, whatever. I'm not gonna tell you anything.
No. Say it.
No, you go ERP if you want. I'm just gonna become this.
Yeah.
I feel like if you're an actual cat, you'll become a calico.
I'm trying to
If
be
you're an
nice,
actual cat.
man.
You mean I should go take a drink? Drink of what?
Water.
Example.
Water.
Water, but that
No
have to go
Pepsi.
all
No
over there.
Pepsi. No
I'm not
Epi.
addicted.
No you are addicted to Pepsi.
No, I'm not.
You are
Okay.
addicted.
Just
Like I go to your
No.
house and I literally need to dodge Pepsi cans, or like it's like so much.
I am not addicted. I don't know how much
It's
I
a
drank today
fucking
though, but
miracle. I haven't bunked like anything and killed someone with
I mean,
Pepsi
I
can.
drank one for breakfast. I slept a little bit. And
Can
when
we
I woke
Google
up, I
what's
drank
the
a
deadly
can,
dose of Pepsi cans? Like a deadly
and then I drank up the can. Then I got another can. I think that's empty.
dose of Pepsi.
But
Do
I'm
we
not
have
addicted.
daily
No.
dose of internet?
There's drinks, there's sweetness, blah blah blah. Risks of premature death by 17%.
Mm?
Okay, so oral doses of caffeine greater than 10 grams can be fatal. So how much
What's
how
this
much
now?
caffeine?
I
10
can drink up to
grams?
3 cans.
10 grams of caffeine is little. That's like so small.
I told you the
Yeah,
other
but
day you can
how much is in a can?
you can get a caffeine poisoning. Like actually.
Okay, the LD5 caffeine is the little dose 50 of caffeine is 1.5, so 5 liters of Pepsi will kill you, maybe.
I drank 3 or 4 before. I was fine.
Don't kill yourself, okay? Don't with Pepsi. If you die
I'm
because of
literally
Pepsi,
living
I
in
will put on your grave, died because of Pepsi. It will have this imprinted into your grave.
At least I'm not addicted to fucking coffee.
I only drink 2 cups of coffee a day. That is like nothing.
You drink a lot of coffee.
2. 1 in the morning and 1 in the afternoon.
Yeah. Like,
One at work.
Yeah, 1 in the morning and 1 in the middle of the day.
Coca-Cola had
Well, I'm
cocaine in
not
it,
Allison.
and Pepsi had propane.
I'm trying to
I've
spin this on
drank
me.
Pepsi
Yeah.
since I was a fucking toddler. Like, actually, I'm not even kidding.
You probably build a resistance, honestly. You're immune to
remember when I
Pepsi. We
was-
should study your body and be like, alright, what is happening? if you're like, when you die, I'm gonna donate your body to science. They're gonna cut you up, right? And it's just gonna like Pepsi, like come out.
I feel like so sleepy and anxious if I go a day without Pepsi.
Yeah, that's called withdrawal syndromes. That's what happens when
If
you're
they
addicted.
put
Kids.
her in the,
Well,
if they put her
too
in the
bad, it's
ambulance
fake.
and drive to the hospital, and
Yeah, gonna
if they
shake
open
you.
it, it just explodes.
Like,
I
The
think if
thing
you go a
is-
day without something and you start shaking, you probably slow down.
but the thing is, I'm not even kidding when I said I drank Pepsi as a toddler because I have this vivid memory. Remember the old house I used to live in? Not the before the divorce, like I showed you, and the other part of the city.
Oh,
With
yeah,
the
yeah,
dollhouse. Yeah, I remember in that house, I was sick or something, and I drank just a big bottle of fucking Pepsi. And like, that was like, I used to steal it. And my mom would tell me no, but I did steal it and I drank it. I put around like 6 or 5 or something. I don't know.
I know someone who generally believes the Pepsi it's a real thing. I know it's real. This one is. You can literally see it's Pepsi addiction.
What?
If you shake because you're not having something, it's an addiction. Oh, you know what I've seen? Do you know that show, My Strange Addiction?
Oh no.
That was a new one, and it's a girl, and you know what? Okay, so I'm gonna tell you what she did.
And put it on.
No, it's very bad.
Okay.
I want to tell you what she did, and I want you to guess what's the addiction. So she took underwear out of her bag and
And
sniffed
ate it.
So now I want you to tell me what you think it was, the addiction.
Poopy smell or something, I don't know.
No. Somehow I think it's worse.
Period stains?
No.
I'm trying to think like nasty, by the way. Something with underwear, by the way, yeah?
Yeah. Sniffing underwear. What was the addiction? What do you think?
Something worse than shit stains and period stains.
What?
You be more gentle than that. You don't need to say it like that. No, but instead of
I don't
drying hair,
know.
got so much moisture. Oh,
I
you're using
actually
a
don't know.
dehumidifier, right? I used to use it in Portugal. Yeah, they get full of water.
I don't know.
And
So
now
I
you
actually
don't
don't
need
know.
to because it's really dry here. Okay,
I
so
don't
she
know.
was addicted to sniffing her father's underwear. Used underwear.
Ugh.
What the fuck?
Ugh, ew.
Specifically, her dad's used underwear.
Ugh.
And she took it
How
out,
about- how about
sniffed
no?
it, and it was like 20 seconds just like doing this. Like,
When did you see this?
it was on Twitter. I just scrolled by. I was like, fuck this, no. As soon as I was having fun and seeing the thing, and as soon as she said, "Father's up," no, I'm like, nope, no, scroll. I don't, no.
I've seen like people addicted eating fucking ashes, like human ashes.
Oh,
but
that
like,
one, God.
is that
Well, what's she gonna do when he
cannibalism?
runs out? Like, is she's eating her husband?
I guess.
And what, he runs out? You gotta buy a new husband and cremate it again?
Yeah.
Like, go to
Listen,
the
the
store.
thing
I
with
run out
me-
of husband. Can we refill?
If people want to do something with my ashes, they could probably like roll me in a fucking smoke or something. Use me as a blunt, but that's max.
Blunt. I'm not gonna smoke you to die,
just
kids.
order
You can smoke
new-
me.
Just
No,
order
I
new
can't.
burnt husband at
I will be
Amazon
honored.
Prime.
I will mold you into a dildo and put some like I'll put some silicone,
Oh.
put your ashes inside of it, and then mold it. Like it can become a dildo.
You can make me as like a watch, like those glass
A what?
watch, and you put like ashes in. No, you don't know that. It's like a
You know, like
ring or something.
okay, the whole ash thing, and people are like, well, ashes and whatever. I think that's stupid. You know why? It's
Why?
the ashes are like mixed with like other people? Like, do you think they
10%,
they,
yeah, but mostly
you
it's
think they
also
don't
mixed.
cremate? So like you have like a fucking necklace with ashes and it's just like 50 people on your neck. That's like you're asking to be
It's,
haunted. Like it's just a ghost, like a fucking fiesta.
No, the thing is, like, it's mostly the person, like, you cremate. Like, example, grandma. Example. And the thing is, it's mostly grandma, but there's also about like 20 and 10% other people.
Yeah, my uncle,
But it's
great
mostly your
grandfather, grandma, first cousin, you know, it's the whole family is there.
Also, to clarify, my grandma is not dead.
Technically, you can make some ashes out of someone without them being dead.
I mean, I
Just
can make a
you gotta
joke about the
cut
other
like
one.
you gotta like
To clarify, my dad's dad, I'm not going to say the word. He's dead, but that's in a good way.
Your dad's dead.
Yeah.
Think about it a little bit. Good.
My dad's dead?
Yeah.
I don't want to say the word because he was a shit father to my father. Like, actually. I'm not
Yeah, but
going to
he's
say
your
the word.
grandfather.
To my... Okay, which one you talk about? To my mom?
Your
or
dad's
my
dead.
dad?
He's your grandfather.
No, I don't want to say that word. Like, actually.
Why? It's what?
I understand
But
that.
he literally abused my
You can
dad
say
while
it's
he
a
slept.
shit grandfather. It doesn't change
I
what
don't
he
want to
is.
say. I don't want to always like associate him as a fucking grandfather because he's a shit person.
Even if he's a shit
He abused
person,
my
he's
dad.
No, I know, but I'm like, he's a shit grandfather.
I don't want to say the word grandfather. I don't want to. He was a shit person that abused
You know, like
my
grand
dad
doesn't
to the
mean
point.
big. It just means like.
Yeah, I
That's
still
bad.
don't want to say that. He doesn't
Okay,
deserve
you're
the
big.
title.
It's not a title. It's like
Still, I don't want to call him
you
that.
don't get
He's such a shit
crowned
person.
like fucking grandfather,
It's
like the Queen of England
You-
or something.
like the thing
Also,
is
we
like,
talk about his
okay,
addiction
it's
to
good
mental
is
illness.
that,
You
but
can
actually,
you can call
Yeah,
the,
most
the one
addictions
that you
on
like.
that show are little mental illnesses or attention seeking. Like there's no.
I have a I have a step grandfather, but I just call him grandfather because I have known him since I was a baby, and he doesn't feel like step.
LGEP. Yeah, don't wake him up, okay? Let him sleep.
Yeah.
This is the most we have.
Sleep.
You
Go
just
eat.
woke him up.
I'm just sleepy.
This is the most we've had LG
I'm
around,
tired.
okay? We need to keep this. Don't wake him up.
Some sleep.
It's like having a cat on your lap. You
Some
can't move
sleep.
now. Like we cannot move.
Yeah,
It's-
wait,
you like-
he
you-
has
you
to
can't
sleep
move this.
longer.
By the way,
Snowy, he has to sleep
I know.
longer.
It's like it's the cat rule.
Does anyone
The
does anyone have
forever
chloroform
sleep.
right now? Where did I leave it? Yeah, we can't move worlds. You just
You've
can't
seen
move.
the video? What perfume do you have
Yeah,
in your
yeah, yeah.
fursuit? And it's like
It's
chloroform.
chloroform. What?
Pass the fuck out. I'm like, it smells really good. Pass the fuck out. I think I'm just tired. I still have work tomorrow.
Aw, you wanna go eat?
I want to, but
You
we
gonna go eat,
record.
Eat.
I mean, you can maybe go nap and set an alarm to when we record or something.
Yeah, you can. I don't need you. I can do it myself. It'll be fun if you do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
LJ is
Because
leaving
you
us
usually end
chat
your stream
forever.
around like
Oh my
12,
God.
right? You usually
my
do.
hips.
Around
My
our
hips are
I
12.
can do.
You
I
shut
can
off.
do whatever I want.
Oh no, I'm just
My hips shut
knowing
off.
in the time.
Hmm?
Did my hip shut off?
It's big.
I was.
You're eating too much.
Huh?
You're making our tracker sleepy, LJ.
Okay.
That's what I told you. I'm just sleepy. I'm tired. Are you talking to chat about me fucking snapping or what? As long as you don't snore, I guess I'll be okay.
Don't mute yourself. It's illegal.
I'm gonna mute myself.
That was
No, 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 no,
the
no, no,
second
I'm just
can,
right
by the
now.
way.
Second can. No wonder the
Why?
second can sleep.
No, I mean yes.
Drinks
second can,
Pepsi
yeah.
at night. I can't sleep. Meh. 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 It's
I
like
drink
you
diet
sound like.
soda. Diet.
Listen, I can still sleep.
Melatonin soda.
Melatonin,
Melatonin,
like
so-
energy drinks will go hard. Non-energetic. of
Energy drinks. So upper and a downer at the same time.
course. Just cancel.
Listen,
It
at
just
least
transforms
you can
into
be
water.
At least you can be happy with me that I don't drink
Yes.
much energy drinks, like actually. Cause then I will actually die, like actually.
Yeah.
Pepsi has caffeine, so.
You know how many people die by fucking monster cans and Red Bull and shit?
My stepdad had a heart attack. He's an idiot.
Yeah.
I know so many that's like had like a heart attack because of Monster, like actually.
The only
You wanna go
like,
to the idol world for Ors?
bro, you know what I found
a new
today?
one. What?
Idle carpet cleaning. It's a carpet and
What the fuck?
Oh yeah,
it
I
has
joined
a
that
shower
earlier.
and it just cleans the carpet and you can, yeah, it's so fucking stupid. What happens when you reach your follower
Are you
goal?
talking about the Reaction World?
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know, Shao.
I watched
Honestly,
that earlier.
I haven't kept track of the follower count. We have had, is it 2-2? So I kind of want to do a new Q&A on YouTube. I was saving it for 50k, but it is gonna be a slow crawl, so I'm not sure actually. It depends because I'm kind of doing some cool videos, so we may reach 50k eventually. I want to do a Q&A thing, and again, I want to post on Discord the text thingy. You guys can put questions on YouTube too. The last Q&A I did was with the pro. Do you guys remember the fuck? Do you remember this? I did a Q&A like 4 years ago or something crazy. Let me check. Kind of a new Q&A because that shit is like completely different. Q. I don't know if I call it Q or like questions. Yeah, Protogen answers your questions 4 years ago. And of course the thumbnail is Vor.
No, it's
Someone asked pause or mouse, and I put the Vor picture, obviously.
Oh, I like that textures. And Abby. Nice.
Yeah, I gotta redo it 4 years ago. A lot of things changed. Back is gonna hi Robin, Hobby. Yeah, the Protogen one. I was kind of thinking about, because we're gonna have Ilaska Luft with Sudo on Sunday, and she's gonna use a Protogen, and I'm thinking I'm probably gonna re-upload my Protogen with the new bones and stuff. Now I don't know if it has face tracking. So I like being on team.
I hope I'll be back in a bit.
I'm gonna jerk it a little bit.
He's gonna go a little bit, just a little bit.
Just gonna a little bit. And then come back.
You gotta flicker good, you know?
If
Two
I want
pumps.
to jerk it, I
Quick
take,
adventure, in and out, just like 10 minutes.
Also, I need to do your thing.
Yeah, that right? Yeah, so
Avatar.
She is amazing,
To get
and I
started.
want to be on my things again. And I was like,
I was supposed to start when I got done with Snowies, but I was so dead after work, I just couldn't. Work has been hell.
I miss
like,
it.
I
Me too, right?
Okay.
I ate a bagel once.
It's been
I don't know, did I ever
too
eat a
much
bagel? I
snow
don't think I ever
and
ate a
carrying
bagel
logs
actually.
and chopping trees.
Bagels yummy.
NFC.
You're
so
yummy.
It is
Yummy, yummy.
Yeah, you're yummy.
Oh boy.
Oh my god, your cock's throbbing.
What the fuck? You see what I mean? I'm being wholesome.
Why?
I didn't do anything. What?
No, question. Do we have
Put your head right here.
This rod is like so, like
Oh, you don't want to sit on my rod?
it's too. I
You don't want to sit on my rod? Oh, come on. It's like glowy.
Are you hearing this?
You check your DMs, you check your DMs, you check your DMs.
My DMs. What's in them? What's in them? Oh, is it the northern thing?
It's the...
Let's go over here so you guys can complain.
I need to get the northern one because it fits where I'm from.
Come over here. Come over here. There you go. No more. No more weird thing.
I really need to get the northern Aspil because it would fit because where I'm from.
I need an Aspil. As a person I haven't seen.
I have an Aspil.
Yeah, okay, so I actually have an idea. So I've been doing a lot of You Laugh You Loses, right? And I'm kind of running out of people. So I thought, since I've been streaming for like 5-6 years or whatever, like I think it's gonna be 5 soon, I have a lot of contacts with people that like disappeared. So like Sudo, people that just don't stream anymore. I'm gonna try and convince them to just come back for one of these things, like just one day. Just do this with me, and then you can go again. It'd be kind of cool. Being also starting to talk about this rod. It's a blue rod. I was hitting on a blue rod. Sudo with a no. I want to see if I can get Moss, but I think Moss fucking disappeared from the face of the earth. I miss Moss. I miss old VR, man. Can we go back in time, man?
I miss old VR too. Don't worry. You're not alone.
Do we go back? Do I go back to Monkey? Do I go back to
Yeah,
Papa
go
Jim?
back to Monkey. Get your boobs back. I'll allow it. I will allow it.
I'm gonna send this to Liren.
I miss MadPat. I don't know MadPat. I don't think I can get MadPat. I can try. Can you imagine, like, getting MadPat in, like, you know, chat, look at this guest, but it's like, and at the end, we're like, but it's just a theory. A game. Like, wow.
It was just a
Nice.
stream.
Hello.
A
Hi.
stream theory.
Thank you. It's sitting on me. I'm putting on a
Sit on you
chair.
and you cannot do anything about it. Can you have beans? You can have pretty mayo beans. They're actually really good. There you go.
Non-spotted
beans are
ones, by the
great.
way.
Non-spotted, non-moldy,
Aye.
super smooth, okay? You have to
Mine's
do
are
you
just
swagger
black.
souls. Chat, you guys are funny. You're like I have contacts with furry people, not with swagger souls. We're like, oh, you want to do it with Lose? You should do it with Donald, the President of the United States. How about that? I'm gonna invite Donald Trump because we're really close, obviously. I'm pretty sure if I send a DM to like any of those people, they either not see it or just tell me to go fuck myself.
The federal government's gonna fucking check.
You can use
scan
the
your
shotgun
fucking
approach
Twitter.
though. You can use the shotgun approach. DM everyone. One of them is gonna pick one. You know, just need one.
Eventually.
No, you just need
Eventually.
one. It's the same as the dating thing. If you're single, shotgun approach. 50 no's and a yes, it's still a yes.
Come
Like-
You really love
everywhere,
sitting
and
one,
then
don't
somebody
you?
else gonna reply, "Hey, stop that."
I'm a chair now, apparently.
No, you're.
You're bigger than
come
me.
Here, come here.
You're a chair. Like
Come
you know the
here.
rules, right?
Come here. Come here. You're gonna be body. You're gonna be body pillow.
That's XQC.
I'm by the pillow.
Oh, technically, I already have a collab
I
with
wanna get
PewDiePie.
like
okay. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to hear about this. Okay.
I wanna get like a
I'm on a
body
video with
pillow.
PewDiePie
Oh,
already.
nice one,
So I made my thing.
Save.
Yeah.
I'm famous now.
I would do-
Did you
I
guys
feel
know
that would
this,
be really
by the
cool.
way?
What?
PewDiePie did like he draw my life. Not draw my life. He did like drawing with community thing, and I joined randomly, and I thought it was gonna be like
No way.
whatever. But in the video, I was drawing a potato, and I was drawing a face, and then there was like multiple potatoes, and then I drew a dildo, and he was like, "Oh, really?" Fuck off. It has my real name, so I don't think I want to share, but
How many times are you
I
gonna
made
use your name, by the way?
PewDiePie see a
His real
dildo,
name
so
is
I'm very
Snowy,
happy.
and then last
Like,
name VR.
Yeah, my last name is V. I'm gonna officially change it. Meh.
I don't want to shove my fucking face in your armpit. No, open.
That's what happened. Did you not see, Rylot? I think I saved the clip because I was like kind of proud, you know.
Oh, you just reminded me. I need to do. I'm gonna make the meme. Wildlife.
the meme,
Can
the meme.
you send me a picture?
Oh.
Ca-
Oh, Rylot, I'll tell
Rylot, can you send me
Rylot,
a
we need a
picture of
picture. We need a
Kevin?
picture of Kevin looking like maybe looking sad, We want to make a missing poster
Or
for
just like a
Kevin.
normal picture.
Okay, can
normal
I
picture.
speak? I know you're excited, but back off. We need a
wanna do
picture
the
of
thing.
Kevin. We want to make a missing poster and make it a sticker so we can place it on Worlds. Because we haven't seen Kevin in ages.
There's a
I saw it
normal
once like a
picture.
turn ago. Yeah, there's a chance you already seen me on that video of PewDiePie if you watch PewDiePie as a kid. Because my name was there. So maybe there's a small chance that you saw my name ages ago and me drawing something. And now you're seeing me. It's kind of crazy to think about, right?
I want to make the meme. That's why I need a random Kevin picture. Cause I have an idea.
Why I love the Swedes, just don't tell goods. Ooh. Ooh, Violet likes the Swedes.
How dare you betray me? I'm sad. I'm so sad. What the fuck?
Yeah, Violet,
How dare you?
You steal our dog. By the way, we found a replacement, so fuck you. We have a new dog now. I'm just saying. And
Well,
there's
I'm
another
gonna
fucking
say
answer.
something.
Can I, like,
I'm
speak
going.
to my cat in peace? What the fuck, man?
Yes.
I was gonna. What? What?
Yeah,
what?
like-
What?
Damn it.
No, I mean piss.
I hate this
You
shit,
get to
like,
water
actually.
sports?
No, I still ain't saying good.
Whoa,
I'm
what?
sorry.
Oh.
Water sports?
No, I
Did
said
you
piss,
wash
and
your
she's
ass
like, what, piss?
today?
And I'm like, no. Are you into water
No.
sports?
Peace
They're
or
like, no.
peace? Okay, what is
Oh, okay.
happening?
Oh wait,
said
that reminds
piss.
me of something.
Peace. P-I-S-S.
So you know my
Yes.
ex, right? Sydney.
Why are we
He's
talking
also
about
my best friend. No, it's something funny happened. Something funny happened.
So random out of nowhere.
No,
We're talking
no,
about
no.
peace? No, wait. You gotta understand where this is coming from, okay?
Haha,
I
Lamal,
kinda
that
think it's
reminded
Irishman,
me
by
of the
the way,
joke.
for this
So
one.
why do Norwegians
18
not need sugar cause they have artificial sweeteners?
Artificial
Oh my
sweetener,
God.
that's a good one. That's a good one. Like, we're talking about peace. And you're like, oh, by the way, do you remember my... I'm like, okay, no, I don't want to know what you guys... I don't want to know the peace
ADHD.
stuff you guys did.
It's completely like it's unrelated actually.
Okay.
Because I since like I misunderstood, I thought he said goods, right? And that why just stuck my just reminded of something. Like, so you know Sydney, aka my ex, my best friend too, by the way. The thing is that he works like a storage area, and his coworker has like a name similar to Goods, so he accidentally called his coworker Goods, and he never noticed. I was told
I would just call them goods until he, like, literally goods until he, like, realized. What is a name close to goods? What the fuck? Like, what's the first name?
Wait,
close
one
to
of
I
my
goods?
wanna
coworkers
say-
calls me Charles. I don't know who the fuck that is.
Hi,
Honestly,
Rylet. I was
I
complaining about the
understand.
ads. I was saying we found a Kevin replacement, so don't worry about it. Okay, it's just whatever. You stole our dog,
oh yeah,
so
no. Oh
yeah,
yeah,
we got a new dog meanwhile, and then we're gonna do missing posters for Kevin and put it on like stickers on the world with like the
I
phone
found
number.
I found the name.
Lizard.
So if someone finds it,
I found
I
the name,
keep
sorry.
DMing Kevin daily, and I'm like, when are you joining? When are you joining? Come on. You don't need Rylet to join. You can join me. It's fine. We're not gonna do anything.
She doesn't
It's
want
okay.
to plunger.
I'm blue. I'm not even green. It's like it's fine. Like nobody's gonna happen. Nothing's gonna happen. If anything, they're gonna get with goods or something. But that's okay.
What?
Kranos. Are you Filipino? Kranos is Filipino too, right?
Kranos is Filipino.
Do you know that in Portugal we have Filipino cookies and we eat them? So we technically vor
He
you.
wars Filipinos.
They're called Filipinos, and they're like chocolate, wild chocolate. There's all the flavors. There's like cheesecake. Oh, she's gonna use Good's plunger again. Oh, you need to put a plunger on this one.
I do need to put a plunger.
Because now with this one, you look like a dummy plunger, you know? Like, wow.
It's...
This is the best combo of avatars, by the way, the hyena and this cat. I'm like,
I did a lot of like
I love eating,
modifications.
yeah,
on
I
it.
love eating Filipinos, especially the white ones, exactly. The white Filipinos are the best. Chef's kiss.
Excuse me?
Yeah. If I ever see you IRL, I'll be taking a bite, just to see if it's the same.
No, good help.
Don't worry, I'll bite too. Don't worry. In a good way.
The fuck?
Bro, okay, I don't know. Portugal is weird. We have Filipinos. Nay, do you know the fucking... I don't know. Actually, is it Portuguese? I think it's in other places. We have racist chocolate. We have blackface chocolate or whatever. I don't know why... Like...
What the fuck?
Yeah, it's it's so it looks like
does
a
not exist in Portugal.
it looks like a character, like literally the the old drawings of like, yeah, the conguitos,
Like
the
Bugs
old drawings
Bunny,
of
fucking-
black people, like the exaggerated features and like the lips and everything. It fucking we have
Yes.
that as chocolate. I don't know how it's
I
still
mean-
like in 2026 how they didn't fucking go bankrupt yet.
Unholy thoughts.
It's soup. Do you know that those soup? It's soup. Yeah, we have racist chocolate, and there's a white version too, by the way. Apparently, there's white chocolate, so maybe it's not that bad because there's both. Everything is here, but when change name to something else for the same reason. No, but like, I want Aunt Jemima pancake syrup. It's just a person. You know what? I'm gonna okay. I'm gonna get a picture of the package, okay? I'm gonna get a picture of the package, and I'll let you guys decide. This is real, by the way. It's chocolate. No. I guess it's oh, I think everything's Spain too.
Oh yeah, you showed me. I remember this.
Okay, chat. This is chocolate. If I bring this to my office in Norway, I'll get fired. It's this. This is chocolate.
Conguitos. Oh god.
This is chocolate.
It's
And I don't know. Who had this idea? It's a Spanish Portuguese finger.
I love this one.
If you go to Spain, Ryla, ask for that and you can eat them. They're kind of good actually, but it's so weird. It's soup.
Beans.
Huh?
Beans.
Oh, those beans are like really fucking detailed. Like it's so like I don't know what to like. You know, like sometimes it's like good. I don't know how to feel about these ones. It's like I don't know, man. I don't know, man. Oh yeah, by the way, I bought the action camera. I think I told you. We are one step closer of motorcycle streams. Oh, and I'm gonna DM you something. I'm gonna DM you something. I'm gonna DM you something. I don't want to say this on stream because it's related to my job. Conguito cups. They have cups?
Whoa.
No fucking
That's
way.
detailed.
No fucking way.
Whoa.
They have
that's real-
cups.
Ooh, oh, the tongue's
In your
detailed.
cooking streams. Okay.
My god.
The problem is I don't know what to do on cooking streams.
Oh my gosh.
How
that's
would we?
good.
So what I can do is the action. I don't need an action camera for cooking streams. I can use my phone. I just don't know
I'm just
what
showing
to
my
do.
hand in your mouth. I'm sorry.
Maybe I take like a chat recipe. It will be cool. Or you guys guide me or something.
That is good.
You made lasagna. We did make lasagna once.
Lasagna.
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 True.
Say it in Portuguese, okay? Lasagna.
No, we
Lasagna.
say we say
Lasagna.
lasagna. We say
Lasagna.
lasagna.
Just pretend you're Okay, talk Spanish and then okay. So you know Spanish, right? A little bit. Maybe.
I can understand it for the most part.
Do you know like any like word in Spanish? Come over here.
Yes. I am being. They call me a pendejo. Yes.
Okay, not that one. Not that one.
That is.
A normal world, not
What
the
is it?
pendejo.
The numbers. Basura. I don't know.
It doesn't work. Okay, say that,
is it?
but say that in Spanish, but pretend you're Russian.
Basura.
You're almost on Portuguese.
What?
¿Dónde está la biblioteca?
¿Dónde está la
I don't
biblioteca?
understand shit.
Shit. ¿Dónde está la
I can
biblioteca?
understand a
Sorry.
little bit German. That's it.
Ryla
Yeah.
tiene un
Noits.
pene pequeño.
No.
Oh, mommy.
I'm sorry, my language is more closer to
No.
German. I'm sorry, I don't understand
Mom?
¿Dónde
That's
está el
the first thing he'll
sucre
tell me.
Spanish.
Jag har väldigt stor pipi.
Å, du har?
Ja.
Hvor stor? Hvor mye
Du har
centimeter?
Du har
35.
Si hvor mye centimeter du har.
35.
Kira, talk German to me.
Ja,
35?
35.
Å, herregud.
Ah,
Oh my
Why
god. Oh,
not?
very good. Oh shit.
Wow, you didn't get it.
You said no.
bro, my brain is
Yeah, I said
fucked.
9,
Portuguese,
but it was,
English, Norwegian, Spanish. I'm struggling to like.
No
Sometimes I'm
worry, I'm the
speaking.
same.
No, you don't get it. Sometimes I'm speaking and like it's like I don't know where to get the words from. There's like a bunch of languages.
No, it's same for me though, because like I can understand Danish, Swedish, German, Norwegian, English. So I'm like,
Imagine here.
I feel you. I feel it, literally.
You can speak Spanish if I'm here. I will understand it.
You can do French.
I can understand German.
But see, I can speak a tiny bit, right?
Okay,
right.
the
Did it
whole
sound good?
conversation.
Did it sound good?
I don't know if you said 35 or 55,
35.
but in the probably are.
I was gonna say 25, but I forgot the word for 20. I just said 30. I shoot, yeah.
You need to say 30. Roll it. You need to roll your R. 30.
30.
30. You don't roll it. You flip
Roll
it.
my Rs.
You flip the R.
30.
Like ara.
Ara.
You not roll. You're rolling. You're rolling. It's flipping. Roll it once. That's flipping. Roll it once.
Zoe, DM me whatever you done, Zoe. I'll log
Okay,
back
I'll
in.
DM you. I'll DM you. Okay. Flip the
How
R.
many people
Boy.
makes it? Like it's flipping is basically rolling once. That's it.
Like that.
30. 30.
30. 30.
1, 2,
Parlez-vous
3, 4,
français?
5, 6,
Oui,
7.
oui, je suis fromage.
It's weird. You only flip
Je
like roll
suis
it once.
fromage.
30.
Or else,
Hey, Goots.
Yeah.
You
Oh
know,
my
it's all-
god.
Lick my
I
boots.
love this.
if I want, like, if I tried hard for a few
Bye.
months, I could speak. I could speak
Oh my gosh.
Norwegian, French, Spanish, Portuguese, and English.
Yes.
But I have too much.
Beans
I have too much.
and
Like,
good tits.
you know what? Maybe I should do like a
And
language arc. How about that? We had the feet arc, we had the port. Now we're
Yes.
gonna go into language. I'm gonna start speaking
you can clone it,
fucking
you can clone it.
everything, because I think I can do it.
Oh,
Oh no.
I'm gonna get going now. Wow, why do you hate me so much,
doesn't
bro?
let me.
I can't clone it yet.
Why do you hate me
okay.
so
There you
much?
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, I love
My
this.
favorite thing, by the way, chat, is when I travel on planes and someone from the country asks me, "Do you speak the language?" and I answer it in English, "No," and they look at me like, "Wait, but you?" They were like, "What? But you understood?" And I'm like,
Ooh, ponytail.
Bye.
That's cute.
"I don't know German.
Yeah.
I don't know anything in German about Ich bin, whatever.
Man, your tits
Ich bin
in
ein
Australia,
Berliner.
Zoe.
Ich bin living fucked
Let
up
me get
thing.
my tits
Krankenwagen.
Yeah, ich bin ein.
Krankenwagen.
Berliner.
Damn.
I know, right? They're good. I'm alright.
What the fuck are you guys
Yeah,
doing?
surrounds.
I'm here having like a
What?
language
Surround
thing.
story.
What do you mean sit on me? What the fuck? What is that? I
Surround
just.
story.
I would.
There you go.
7. Ah! Yeah, Snowy. Look, little Snowy knows 5 languages. Everyone else asks if I'm Russian.
No, they.
Doesn't know more. No. I know Russian
There you
too.
go.
Привет,
Sideways.
привет, как дела?
Stand still.
I played enough Tarkov.
There we go.
I know.
Listen,
I'm
we can
trying
hug it
to
all out. There you go.
Where this came from? This is not even accurate. You don't have tits and you took them off. Like, what the fuck?
Oh,
Wow.
Oh fuck!
Damn.
Yeah, like, it's not even accurate, okay?
I got fake tits at home.
Like, just tell me about the
I'm shocked.
We learned how to be Russian guy in high school. How about Turkish? Kardashim. Hello, Kardashim. Oh.
Squishy.
The benefits of traveling a lot is you pick up words from other languages. It's kind of cool. Kardashim. What was the other one? I don't remember anything about Turkish. Oh. Man, we should go into like just a fucking language arc. Sign language, and then like Spanish to start. I think I could lock in Spanish in a few months actually. Why did you say how when your food fucking grew like double the size?
You can grow your beans.
Oh my
Oh my
god.
gosh.
I'm here being wholesome, you know, like, okay, I'm talking to my chat about languages, and in the back I'm just, oh, you can grow your beans! Look at my...
Yeah, you're wholesome. I'm
That was the last
somehow-
FurCon you went, and I'm planning to go to something in the future. Last one was Entrecon a few years ago, and I wanna go to EF this year. We need to figure this out. I need to talk to LJ, Kira, you probably. I don't know if you wanna go, but we need to get an Airbnb and I get things sorted so I can take vacation time. I really wanna go to EF, man. It's been like 3 years maybe since Entrecon. Let's go. Now you wanna come too? You're not even like related, but like fuck, you just come and just point at people or something. I don't know. With bike, I'm gonna go with a car though. Actually, it's like 5 hours away from here. If you leave your bike, okay, or about you leave your bike here, and then you come back. It's in August. You come back in August. It's like 2 weeks. It's like 2 weeks after the thing. Actually, if you want to do this, it actually works. Like, oh no, but you need to take off time. But it's 3 weeks after the trip, so we can actually go down. Hi, why are you looking at me like that?
What?
I don't understand. I don't like this.
I
don't
love
like
stereo.
I'm a cat. We're not compatible. I'm sorry. It would never work out. It would never work
Okay,
out.
hold on.
My plans on my days off, 5 days off. Oh, it would be so cool to do like an Entrecon bike motorcycle trip. Entrecon, a FurryCon motorcycle trip. And then we borrow a suit from someone and then we drive with it. Don't do that. You will die. It was kind of funny. Hi.
Hey.
Hello.
Oh, there's me again.
What the fuck? Why are you here now?
I need to upgrade this one. I haven't touched
You know that
Nodus in a while.
my meetup guys are using this shit to fuck with me because I don't use nameplates, so they just pop up with this, and I'm like, oh good, what are you doing? And then he's just like a manly voice, like, oh,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
like, fuck off.
yeah, maybe look what you say.
I need to
Because
actually.
yeah, you
change.
say you meet up guys use this to fuck you.
I
Meet
actually
me.
switch because
with
like
me.
I need to
Yeah.
fix this one. I need to add
Meet
face
me,
tracking
not
on this one
with
too.
Yeah.
It's not the
Yeah,
same.
you-
It
you
is
say
not
the
the same thing. Specifically, not the same thing.
I need to fix like face tracking in that one.
Yeah.
You can fix
And
my
update
face
it.
tracking. Where?
What's it supposed to mean?
I don't know. I just said it. That is the main shit. He's pulling his cock out. Okay, one of my trackers is 18%. I don't know which one. I think it's probably the head one. Deal.
See, I was smart. And
You are
sorry.
smart.
Ja.
Ja.
En
very
Norwegian,
smart.
ja. Jag var väldigt
Ja.
smart, inte sant?
Very
Ja.
smart. Ja.
Ja, jag är väldigt
Ja.
smart, jag vet det.
Ah.
When I speak Norwegian, my voice goes deeper, it's weird.
No, it's when you speak real Norwegian, not with us. It needs to be with your mom or something, like someone real.
I don't know how to
You
do
answer
it.
your phone, you're like, I'm like, what the fuck?
Viking is it's a Viking accent.
Yeah, you're like,
Mating
Skål.
call.
Okay, for real, what type of voice do you think I actually have? Like, we're thinking about
I
it
don't know,
with
you're
like
weird. It
Norwegian
depends
and
on-
English.
It depends on who you're speaking to and what you're speaking, the language.
No, but do you think it's like mine's high pitch, monotone,
Okay, so
raspy,
your voice-
like low?
Your voice, when you're speaking English, why the fuck? Okay, hold on, my VC face is open like 5 times. This is not good. Go away. It's crashing. What the fuck
Because
happened?
many people say I have like this
What?
like
My VC
voice
face
that
is
sounds like a
open.
boy and a girl, like in between.
It depends on what you speak. If you speak English with me, you sound more feminine. If you speak Norwegian, you sound like the complete opposite.
Yeah.
This is like a
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just like, I need to record one day without you noticing, because the thing is, like, if you notice that I'm watching you, you kind of change. It's weird.
I don't know. It's weird. I can't do it on purpose. It's so weird.
It needs to be natural. I'll see if I can record you like naturally.
I need to block my face, but yeah.
Oh, fine.
Nah. Block my face then.
I'll block your face with my ass. How about that?
Sure.
It took me like 5 seconds to think about this response, but I was like, Okay, it's 23:30. I may end right now and raid someone because I am running out of battery and I need to record something for today unedited.
No,
Two things technically.
yeah.
We'll see if we have time.
The emo is pretty fast actually. I thought that was gonna be faster.
Which one?
The Eno one is gonna be
Eno
faster. The one you want to one.
Yeah, we need a
yeah.
we need a world with a phone though. You wanna go there? You wanna go there today? Are you gonna go in VR today? If you come here in VR, you have to join me. Like what the fuck? I'll save it though. I'll save it. It's called, the world is actually called Tsukuyomi. Kind of cool. What if I could like do a Japanese arc too? We go to Japanese arc. Watashi wa Shinoi desu.
The fuck? The amount of time people call me Japanese when I speak Norwegian, it's weird.
I speak anime, Japanese.
It's a Viking Japanese. Okay, wait.
Kudasai, Nisa.
Imagine speaking your main language, but it's in a super high tone.
Nissan, Kawasaki, Mitsubishi.
That's racist.
It was so weird. It was like super high pitch.
Scary movie.
Yeah, the fucking. You know that I watched that movie as a kid, and I just like, I thought they were speaking Japanese, and then I rewatched it, and I was like, wait, this is not. Kawasaki,
I watched Scary Movie the other day, by the way.
Suzuki, Toshi. I'm like, what the fuck?
So I watched a scary movie with my friends the other day, and it was the Scary Movie 2, by the way, and I never noticed how fucking racist it is.
Old movies are really bad, yeah.
Yeah.
Is it the what's that? That one's really good. Oh, is that the first one?
That one's really good.
I love shitty movies. If you wanna watch shitty movies, we need to watch that shitty movie. That's like a ripoff of Twilight, but it's shittier. I don't know how you can get Twilight and make it shittier, but someone did it. Someone actually managed to make Twilight, but shit.
I need to watch this Scary Movie 3 too.
Man, we watch with your friends. We're gonna watch with your friends and being cringe together.
What?
Yeah,
You're jealous? You can join.
Yeah, no, I don't want to join your PT friends. I'll get my own friend.
Wow.
Which means I'm gonna be alone in the world.
Wow, okay. You have more friends than me.
Well, it is bad, so if someone makes a bad version of it. It's like a joke of Twilight. I was forced to watch Twilight, and I hated every single thing.
Yeah, because you never saw it, so I was like, come on, you need to see it.
Yeah, there's a reason why I never saw it, because it sucks.
But that's the best part, you need to see it.
Can you like stop moving and like turning around everywhere?
You need to see it to hate it.
Especially the part where she goes into class with her period and I was like, oh.
I remember the most cringy part when the wolf guy imprinted on the child.
Oh my god, the pedophile? Yeah, that's pedophilia on the end of the movie.
That's so bad. That's so bad.
I'm like, what is happening? That's grooming. That was grooming.
And the child wasn't even born yet. Wasn't born. And he started imprinting on the child.
What the fuck?
It's so bad.
It's weird. Are you okay having a stroke? James Bond having a stroke?
It was
Isn't
so
it
bad.
in general like the girl in the movie is a teenie?
Sorry, I drifted a little bit.
Isn't in general the girl in the movie is a teenie and the vampire dude looks like a teen, but he's like 100
Yeah.
or 1,000 years old.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
yeah,
fun.
let's
He was like
Yeah.
18, but Double with Henry is like 18.
He's on a new movie, remember? We saw the ad.
Oh yeah.
He's on a new movie actually. With the guy.
I mean, no wonder, the girl in the movie was so like acting like gasming all. Okay, you're welcome. Gasming all the time during the movie. She's
he
actually
looks
a
so
lesbian.
weird. He looks like she looks like she's taking a shit while acting. Like,
No, she's probably cringing inside because she's a lesbian. Like actually.
I love those scenes where you can see the guy like turning away and starting to giggle, because they feel like it's fucking stupid.
There's so many scenes.
I don't have VR drift. I put my hand on my chin and like fucked off.
There was one scene. There
Ow!
was one scene in Teen Wolf. Sorry, I didn't mean to punch you. Sorry.
Oh, that
it's
guy,
fine.
the George guy.
Yeah, when they walked down the stairs, and you could see in the background kind of just giggle because what happened, it wasn't part of the script. So you see the character just giggle in the background in Teen Wolf. I miss Teen Wolf, man. It was such a good series.
Let's do this. You take care of chat. I'm gonna find the right target.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay? Take care of chat. Don't let
Yes.
your foot feet anywhere.
Watch
Okay?
it.
Hi,
What's
chat.
it?
I'm gonna steal you now, by the way. If you guys don't mind, we're gonna...
It's been 3 hours. We're gonna do a little
we're
raid.
gonna talk about feet, and how much bottom snow is.
Okay, never mind. We're changing. No. And I was What's going on? And I say, hey! Okay, let's raid
the play
Bardic.
is being really loud.
Let's raid Bardic. Let's raid Bardic. Let's raid Bardic. Oh, no. Oh my, Kane is live? Holy
my
shit,
God.
Minikin is awake at the same time as me? Whoa,
That's
okay.
amazing.
Let's
Yeah,
raid
it
Kane.
is.
He streamed
There's no
early
way.
because of
Rest in
the
peace, headphone users. Rest in peace.
There's
I'm
no
so
way.
Sorry.
Kane is live. Chat, we're gonna raid Kane because, like, I didn't even
okay.
know he was alive, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining.
For me, I'm sad.
No, it's my kid now. Fuck it. Thank you for joining. You're still here, by the way. And one here, I will bite your feet. No, okay, no. I knew it. Tomorrow we're gonna have You Laugh You Lose with Renzi, and we're actually gonna do a special weekend. We're gonna have 2 streams. We're gonna have a Sunday stream and a Saturday stream. So we're gonna do You Laugh You Lose with Renzi on Saturday and Sudo on Sunday. So it may be a short one, maybe 2 hours only, but we're gonna have like 3 streams this weekend. So you guys enjoy. I want us to try and not hate myself.
Wow.
Talk about your rape a little bit later. Thank you for joining, chat. And if you
Oh, my ears. Ow.
this microphone is very small. Okay, I can put it like right across my face. But anyway, thank you for joining. You guys are amazing. Love you. Okay, there you go. There you go. You get a kiss. Have a good night, chat. Raid message. I don't know what's the raid. Well, quick, we have 5 seconds. What's the raid message? Raid message. We need raid message. Raid message. Raid message.
Pete.
Yeah,
Big Pete. Big Pete.
Pete.
Alright, just say whatever you want,
Big
chat.
Pete.
Good night. Good night. I love you guys. Thank you
Pete.
for joining and have a good night. I'm gonna record some things and it's gone. They're gone. They're dead. They died, chat. They died.
Wow.
They died.